Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everyone, to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with Jason Lloyd and Tyvis Powell, who will be with us momentarily.
Honking as he's
we heard
it,
it,
in the garage.
Literally as we started, we heard him honking coming in. There's the empty chair that will soon be Tyvis. I'm Adam the Bull, and a lot to get to here on this Thursday show. We've got Mike and Steve and Anthony on the other side of the glass, and Earl up on his perch today. And we've got the Guardians with a nice win against the Yankees. We'll get to that. Darius Garland trades. We've been talking about this a lot for 2 years, really. Does Mike have some good trade proposals for us? After yesterday, we went through all the trades that involved the team trading one star for maybe a few good players. We discussed the fact that maybe not a great comparison in that group, but the one trade that maybe was most closely aligned to what we're looking for Darius Garland was the Cat trade last year. So we'll see how that goes. And, of course, we got plenty to talk about the Browns. The Browns were had their mini camp open to practice yesterday. Jason was there. Zach Jackson was there, Dustin and I spoke to on the podcast this morning. Daniel Oyefusi, who was there. He's going to be
Oyefusi.
What'd I say?
Aya.
I said Aya?
Something.
Oh, that's a bad job of me. Daniel Oyefusi.
Yeah, put that thing on. You look like you
will
got
be
hit
on.
the head with the shovel.
And now the man who.
That's a shame.
And there he is. Chef Tyvis is
You
with
can
us.
actually pull off that look. Like I went
Yeah.
back. I was
He
watching.
wore yesterday, yeah.
Last night I flipped on the show for a little bit, watched a little bit of the show. I'm like, only Tyvis
Yeah, only Tyvis
could
can
pull
pull
off
that.
that look.
Hey, man.
Can you imagine if I walked in with a
Oh,
bonnet
my
and
God.
sunglasses?
Yeah, no, you can't even wear a hat and people go crazy.
I know.
with you.
I did pull off the snobby European, I have to say.
Yeah.
I think I look good as the snobby
I
European.
wear that hat. I look like one of the Mario brothers.
Hey, man, it's a black thing.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so let's jump right into it, guys. Do we have a read to get us started, Mike?
Yeah, we have
All right.
a jam-packed show. I can't wait to get into some of this. And our last topic of the day, Bull doesn't even know what's coming.
I don't.
But we're going to react to something that was said on the show on Monday. Before we
that's
do
right.
that,
Jay made a crazy comment.
we are going to dive into what Jason Lloyd saw at OTAs yesterday, and that is brought to us by FanDuel. The NBA Finals tip-off tonight. Thunder versus Pacers. Get into gear, and you can bet on anything you want. Depending on the game, the over, the under, player props, you name it, FanDuel's got it. There's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. You can head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Jason, you were in Berea for OTAs yesterday. It was day 2 of week 2, overall OTA number 5 for Cleveland. And we're going to talk more quarterbacks with Daniel Oyefusi in a little bit, but you were there, so I want to hear from you. How did the quarterback situation look through your eyes?
It looked a lot like last week. Honestly, the Flacco is the best out there. Among the rookies, Shadur didn't get any reps with the starters again on 11-on-11, just like last week. Most of Shadur's work was on the rookie field. Dylan Gabriel had a lot of checkdowns, is one thing that was noticeable yesterday. It wasn't really a lot of downfield. Felt like a lot of checkdowns. And Kenny Pickett was so-so. He missed a couple throws, missed high on a couple. Wasn't really having a great day. Had a touchdown throw at the end that was a great throw. And it just, everything that we do, we overanalyze, we blow it out of proportion. It's an OTA guys, it's really not that big of a deal. But if you want to just look at arm strength and quarterbacks who had command of the huddle and look like Joe Flacco is clearly the best quarterback on this roster at this point. I don't think there's any question about that, even at 40 years old. I'd put Kenny behind him in terms of the veterans and in terms of the rookies. Shador throws a great ball. I know Bull and Mike a clip. I'm like, this is what everyone's freaking out about. It's a 7-on-7. Like there's nothing to be charting here in terms of stats. Nothing.
Yeah.
But obviously he's got great touch. Obviously, I want to see him against the starters, and hopefully maybe, the mandatory minicamp next week, maybe, although I'm not optimistic at this point. If he didn't get him in the OTAs, I'm not sure he's going to get him in the mandatory minicamp. But I would like to see him live in 11-on-11 drills with the rest of the starters, and we just haven't seen that yet.
Why did anybody ask Kevin Stefanski why he hasn't?
Kevin didn't talk yesterday.
Oh, all right. The coordinators did. Did Tommy Rees say it?
No, I probably should have asked him. It just feels more like a Kevin question than an OC question. But listen. I said last week, he is very clearly fourth on the depth chart. Very clearly. Doesn't mean it's June. He's got plenty of time to move up. I absolutely believe he will have opportunities. They just haven't been there through the 2 OTAs that we've seen.
Tyvis, what do you make of the fact that he hasn't had an opportunity with the ones yet?
Well, I think Kevin spoke on it and said that he has gotten reps with the ones, just the media hasn't seen those reps. So I was hoping, we could put that to bed yesterday by allowing him to get those reps. But you know what? The crazy thing is when he was coming out and everybody was doing his draft profile, a lot of the people questioned, his arm strength. And you see some of these passes that he's throwing, I mean, the arm strength looks fine to me. He's putting the ball in the spot where only his guys can get it, so his ball placement is really good. That's kind of how C.J. Stroud was. It's not about whether or not I got the strongest arm. It's about putting the ball to where my guys can get it in. You see plays like that, obviously he need to get that second foot in. This ain't college. Just take 2 in this league. But anyways, see the placement that he has and the command that he has, like, to me, he looks like he can be a really good quarterback in this league. It's unfortunate that they are really holding out for the media to be able to see that, because I guess, I don't know, maybe they want to control the narrative a little bit. I don't know. But at the end of the day, Jason's right. It's OTAs. Like I said, if he's doing this stuff right here and it looks like this against Carolina in joint practice or Philadelphia in joint practice, that I'm telling you right now, I'm going with my very own picket sign, and I will march outside of that Browns facility and say, we want Shadur. We want Shadur. Anytime I do Browns radio pregame or postgame, I'm going to say, you know what I really like to see today? I like to see Shadur Sanders today. So if he continues to keep progressing like that, I will be his biggest cheerleaders. Throw me some pom-poms.
It's hard. It's just hard to know where he's really at when you don't.
Because it's against the 3s or the 2s.
It's 7-on-7 against rookies and guys who aren't going to be here. So it's hard.
The guys he's playing against and the guys he's playing with are probably not going to be here.
Yeah. So it's hard. It's just hard to come in here after 2 practices. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about 2 practices that are about an hour and a half each-ish. And coming in here and trying to draw these huge assessments off it when he's not even – and by the way, all the starters aren't even there. So when you are going against starters, it's still not all the starters. It's
was
4.
Was Deontay Johnson?
No, I didn't see
no
him.
David Njoku.
So this is the question that I have about these OTAs is you've seen 2 practices.
Yeah.
In those 2 practices, you and Zach Jackson said that Dylan Gabriel has not looked that great.
Yeah,
Zach said that.
So if that's
Shadur has looked better to me than Gil, but again, Dylan did get 11-on-11 reps.
That's what I'm
with
saying.
The starters.
So,
and Shadur hasn't, so it's hard.
So,
it's not an apples to apples comparison.
So
right
I'm shocked, because if y'all can see that and clearly see that Shadur is throwing the ball better and he's got a better command, why has he not earned the reps? Now, granted, we have to say that we don't see what's happening on the days that media is not there. We don't see meetings. We don't see them in the building. We only seen 2 OTA practice. I think they're on 6? Something like that.
5.
Yesterday was 5.
Yeah, so they'll be on 6 today. So we haven't seen 3 other practices. So we don't know what's going into that. But from the media standpoint, from all the reports that you hear, to me, it sounds like Shadur looks better than Dylan Gabriel. So why is it that Dylan Gabriel can take reps with the ones, but Shadur can't?
The NFL. Why are there only a couple of days why does the media not have access on every day?
Well, we do. I didn't realize this. Zach told me yesterday. It is all 3 next week are open. All 3 minicamp days are open, that's more helpful than OTAs.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's mandatory.
Everybody
got to be there.
Everybody's there. So I'd rather that. That's more important than what's going on now.
Sure.
It's just not. It's just hard to draw these huge conclusions over what you're seeing now. So that'll be good when we get in there next week for all 3 days of minicamp. And why are they not open? I mean,
it hurts the fans. The fans don't have the access that they get from the media.
yeah, but it also turns into nonsense like this.
Well, but maybe there'd be less nonsense if we actually had seen Shadur Sanders with the first team.
no, it'll be more.
Okay, but there's going to be not. That's what the NFL wants, right? They want all the nonsense because they want all the coverage.
All of these sports leagues, they walk
Yeah.
a fine line. Like, this is a bigger conversation. All of the leagues are trying to drive the media out. All of them. Trying to drive the media out of the locker rooms, trying to cut down on times when they're available. There's a huge war going on right now in baseball because of it. Basketball has changed its policies.
Yeah.
NFL actually was, I believe, the first to let the media back in post-COVID, I think.
Right.
Or was it? I don't remember now. But I remember thinking after COVID, like, that's it. The media will never be back in the locker room again. Like, and to the league's credit, like, so the people in New York at the league office fight to keep the media involved. The teams are trying to push reporters out.
Right.
So this is just a constant ongoing negotiation. So it's a much broader conversation.
Yeah, that's true.
Than just
Okay.
why isn't media allowed at OTAs?
Have you changed your opinion? Obviously, you were with a few other people that you thought Kenny Pickett would likely be the starter week 1. With Joe Flacco, looking like he hasn't lost a step in terms of his arm.
I think I've tried to be pretty clear on this.
Yeah.
I keep saying it's May and June, guys, but right now, if you ask me, I think it's Kenny. But if Joe outplays him, then they're going to have a decision to make. And I think Joe is outplaying him to this point. I mean, again, 2 OTAs.
Yeah.
So then they are going to have a decision to make. Do you want to? I just don't know what the benefit is of playing a 41-year-old quarterback. I don't know what you're getting out of that long term.
You're getting nothing out of it long term. I would argue you're probably getting nothing out of playing Kenny Pickett long term either. But at least it can be argued that
if you're playing Joe Flacco, if you're starting the season with him, I heard you guys yesterday saying if by some act of God they get off to like a 4-2 start,
right?
And you and Dustin both said you roll with Joe.
Yeah.
Fine. If you roll with Joe, I guarantee you they're taking a quarterback at the top of the first round next year. Guarantee it.
Well, I would agree in theory, but if they have a shockingly good season, they might not be in position to draft a quarterback.
Well, that's what the extra first round pick is for.
Right. They have to be in a position to be able to trade up if there is one. So we'll see. But
the point, I guess, for me when we talk like big picture on all this stuff is like, in the court of law, it's reasonable doubt. You have to convict beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, the Browns at this point are planning on taking a quarterback in the first round. I don't think they're looking at any of these guys as the long-term solution. It's on one of these guys to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they are the choice going forward. And right now, Shadur hasn't been given that opportunity, but it's only June 5th. I absolutely believe he will have chances.
Yeah.
If it's not next week at minicamp, it will 100% be during training camp. It'll be during the joint practices. I agree with you. I'm really looking forward to this. I might actually go. I think it's Philly and Carolina. Mm-hmm. I'd really like to see. I'm curious to see
Man, I want to go too, but I can't take off. I would love to see.
You have vacation,
especially Philly.
You have vacation days.
Yeah, but I'm down to 8. I got 8 left for the year.
You're abusing them.
But actually, I had this talk with the boss down there. He said that as we get closer to it, he's actually going to make me use them because he said that if you don't use them and you work the entire time, then that's 8 days that you basically work for free.
That's right. And you're not allowing people to try to come up in the business to get an opportunity.
Yeah, they don't. I don't want.
He can't worry
that's
about
called
that.
That's called being Wally pipped.
No,
I'm not trying to get.
I think we should have a
pipped.
Tyvis and Jason road trip to Philly.
Yeah, there you go.
The heck no, I'm not getting in the car with you.
By the way, last thing on this before we move to the Jim Schwartz comments on Myles Garrett. No coach is going to turn down a better chance to win, no matter what the organization game. No matter whether the organization wants to tank or whatever, it's irrelevant. The coach wants to win.
Of course.
Yes.
And so he's going to start the guy that gives him the best chance to win. That's very likely at the beginning of the year, Joe Flacco. That's why I thought he was going to start all along. And if Joe's playing well, we talked yesterday about when they benched Brian Hoyer for Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Now, that was
that came from above.
Right, that came from above. The coach, Mike Pettin, got screwed in that situation.
Did he get fired after
honestly, Mike Pettin is the only coach that the Browns have had since I've been here, and probably period, that you could argue was unfairly fired.
That man had
Romeo Crennel, because he was black.
Well, that was before I was here, so I can't speak educationally.
What, he went 10-6? Don't do that. He didn't get fired after that season.
No,
I think he got fired the season after that one.
But the bottom line is, if they're having a good season, none of us is going to predict that. But if they're having a good season,
He did.
no, he picked them to go 8-9.
That's a good season.
well, it's not for real teams. It's
You
not.
know what? I'm
You're
glad.
not benching Joe Flacco. If you
All
have a
I'm
good
going to
season.
tell you is when it happened, a public apology.
All right.
Okay.
Congratulations. The
Public
Browns went
apology.
8-9. That's our bar.
8-9
is
or
a good season.
8-9 or better. I want y'all to publicly apologize for
We will do
criticizing
that,
me.
Tyvis. But I really want to get, before Daniel Oyefusi comes in, we'll talk more quarterbacks with him. I want to get to some of the comments that Jim Schwartz made yesterday. Before we do that, quick reminder, if you don't follow us on social media, what are you waiting for? We're on X, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. Those are the handles on the screen. Give us a follow for some more extra UCSS content. All right, if you missed what Jim Schwartz said yesterday, he spoke, Tommy Rees spoke, but Kevin Stefanski didn't. It was the coordinator's day to speak. And he was asked about Myles Garrett, the whole offseason saga with Myles Garrett, his eventual re-signing with Cleveland, and Coach Schwartz challenged his best player to take his game to another level. This is Jim Schwartz talking about Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I really think Myles is going to have the best season of his career, and has to, right? You know, I mean, I've told him before, what's that Spider-Man quote? With great power comes great responsibility, right? You know, and that's with the big contract, with the notoriety that came along with that, and with the process that took to get him to that point. There also comes, there's always pressure in this league, but probably a little bit more so. And I think that brings out the best in players. And I know that'll be the case with Myles.
So, Bull, I know you didn't hear that quote until right now. What do you make about Jim Schwartz
To me,
issuing a challenge to Myles to be
I
his
don't know.
best
I
in
didn't really
2025?
think much of it. I don't know. I think you guys made more of it than I thought it was. I mean, I thought he didn't say anything specific about
No. He
about
didn't,
leadership.
No. He didn't call
Is
him
there
out.
some other context we don't have off of that?
The thing that stood out to me was
Yeah.
that's now the owner and the defensive coordinator who have referenced
That's fair.
the
That's true.
contract,
Yeah.
and he referenced the process to get to that.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the fact that Myles went on a publicity tour and torched the franchise. For
He
weeks.
alluded to it. I mean, I have no.
They're basically telling you, okay, you got your money, now
yeah.
deliver.
Okay.
And they want more than what he's given, and he's given them a ton.
Yeah. Let me ask
the owner and the defensive coordinator just told you we need more.
Let me ask you this: If Myles Garrett came out and said, our DC Jim Schwartz, he's the highest paid defensive coordinator in the NFL. He did a good job 2 years ago, but man, he sucked last year.
Yeah.
Would anybody have a problem with that?
I think it would be hilarious.
It would be great.
Hold on. I don't think anyone's saying they have a problem with Jim Schwartz issuing that extra expectation for Myles Garrett. I don't think anyone has an issue with that. Do you, Tyvis? Jason?
I didn't say anybody had an issue with it.
Oh, I thought you were saying if Myles did it.
I'm saying I'm just trying to figure out if I have an issue with it. I don't
gotcha.
really,
Sorry.
Do you have an issue with what Jimmy said at the owners' meetings?
What'd he say? Which part?
Jimmy at the owners'
That he
meetings
need to
came
be a
out.
leader?
You need
He said
to
exactly to be a better leader.
That's a
He's
fact.
the owner of the team, and Myles Garrett should be a better leader. So no, I don't. I don't know if there's any benefit to him saying that. Like, what's the benefit to him saying that?
To Jimmy saying that?
Yeah.
Because never once has this organization ever pushed him
Right.
to be better.
But
Publicly?
is it? Well, okay. So yeah, I mean, do you think those comments and the comments by Jim Schwartz are going to affect Myles Garrett at all?
Nope.
Yeah. So I just.
Well,
That's why I don't see any upside to making
I'm just
comments.
surprised that
it
the
is
own-
interesting that the organization has done this.
The owner
it's
and
a
the
little
DC,
pushback from the organization.
absolutely,
Yes.
and Kevin's not going to because Kevin never says
No,
anything.
no.
I would say that Myles is who he is. Like, I don't think Myles is a vocal leader. Now, granted, I'm not in the locker room. Y'all aren't really in the Jason. You ain't really in the locker room for pregame speeches. So
No.
I don't. He doesn't come off to me as the guy that gives the rah-rah speech. But what I will say is Myles is at a point where it's kind of like Donovan, where he's obsessed with winning and just wants to win games. And what he has to do is the same thing that Donovan's struggling with that you pointed out, where he really don't care about nothing, but he got to get those other guys to see it as serious as he sees it. Myles is in that same boat right now because there's a lot of younger guys on that defense that's like, listen, I need y'all to step up so we can get to where we want to go. And that, to me, is the challenge that I feel like they're issuing to him. To get your guys or get the other 10 guys on defense and the guys on offense to take it as serious as you're going to take it, how every Sunday matters, because it does, and you're trying to get to the Super Bowl. And I think if I was Jimmy or Jim Schwartz, that's what I would be telling him. Like that. You need to get that message. I don't necessarily need you to give the rah-rah speeches, but I definitely need you to check your teammates. If you see somebody out there slacking or something like that, hey, it's time to lock in. Like, we need that type of stuff going on defense, because then you won't have those oopsies or we wasn't on the same page type thing. You wouldn't have those excuses because you got somebody on the defense that's holding everybody accountable, and he needs to be that guy. Probably was Jay okay. Now that he's not there, you have to replace that.
I don't think anybody's asking Myles Garrett to be necessarily give the big speech before the game.
Yeah, he doesn't come off as that type of guy.
What I think that maybe, based on
I think that's overrated, by the way.
Giving the speech?
the rah-rah speech.
The big speech before the game.
Yeah.
Do the work during
Wait,
the
Bo,
week.
finish your point.
Depends.
No, it's fine.
Depends on who's saying it.
No, because that was part of what I was getting to. But I think what guys are I think when Jimmy Haslam and Jim Schwartz especially make these comments, the more I think about it, I think what they're looking for is him to set a better example behind the scenes.
100%.
Right? And Myles Garrett, there's just not that much more he could do on the field.
No.
But sometimes when you're great at something, you don't have to work as hard. I hate to even say that because he works hard, but he's just so good that if he lets up, if he's slacking a little bit behind the scenes, if he's not locked in at every meeting, I just think that's a bad example to show to the younger players.
Myles is one of those players that you can't watch. Like,
he can do things other human bodies cannot
exactly.
do.
So
So like,
it's not we should expect him to clean that stuff up. It is what it is.
What do you want him to do?
Okay.
Like, how you want me? I can take a young guy and say, this is what you need to do, this, and that. And then the young guy's going to look at me and go watch me practice, and I'm not going to do any of that, but I'm going to still be successful. So the kid's going to think to himself, well, he just told me to do that, but he ain't even doing that. So why do I need to do that? And people got to realize you're not him. Like, that's like me watching Earl Thomas in practice. You literally said, do not watch Earl. Earl, you cannot do what Earl does. So I would not pay. Earl would be doing things, and I'd be like, Earl, you can't do that. He'd be like, bruh, I've been all pro like 4 times. Don't tell me what I can't.
But was Earl someone you could watch in the meeting rooms?
Earl was unbelievable as far as a mindset. Like, he'll tell you exactly what he's thinking. He'll tell you why he did it. But I'm not as gifted as Earl. I can't do that.
Was he locked in at meetings?
Yes.
Was Earl on time, and was he in the building?
Correct. Yes.
Was he?
Earl.
Was Earl in the building? I'm serious.
Earl could,
be a little. Was he in the building on days when he was expected to be there? When it was required to be there? Was he there in all those days?
Yes. Although he did skip mandatory minicamp.
Contract thing?
No.
Oh.
He came and did, like, if OTAs is 15 practices, he did the first 2 weeks of OTAs, and he said, I'll see y'all in training camp.
Because he knows what are they going to do.
You know what they want out of Myles? Yeah. Be there when you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
That's what they want out of him. That's what they're asking out of Myles.
Be there when you're supposed to be. I think the year after I left, that next year, I think was his contract, because he ended up breaking his leg, and that's when he flipped Pete Carroll off as he was getting taken off on the court.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Somebody just recently talked about that, I feel like.
Well, he just came out and said that he's trying to make a comeback. He just did like a sit-down. I think it was with Josina Anderson, I want to say. He did an interview.
How old is he now?
Earl got to be like 33.
He's trying to make a comeback?
34.
I thought he was older than that.
He's 36.
Is he?
Yep,
he need to sit down. It's done. It's done.
Is there anybody older than that playing safety?
Safety?
Yeah.
No, probably not. The oldest player that I remember playing was Terrence Newman. Terrence Newman played till he was like 39.
Wasn't he a Cowboy?
He played for the Dallas Cowboys, but I think he finished in Cincinnati.
Is Joe the oldest in the league? He's got to be. There's nobody over 40, is there? Is there somebody I'm not
kicker,
thinking of?
maybe?
Kicker, punter. He's got to be the oldest.
Yeah, he probably is. No, Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers would be.
Aaron
Oh,
Rodgers
yeah.
is slightly older than Joe
Yeah.
Flacco.
Yeah.
Although technically
He's
Aaron
not
Rodgers
in
is
the league
right now.
Yeah.
Is Joe the oldest player?
Nope.
Ooh.
Jason Peters, who re-signed with the Seahawks this offseason.
No,
did?
he retired. I thought.
I'm looking at a article that says he signed a 1-year deal with the Seahawks.
I
When?
promise you, I seen something
Seahawks
just the
practice
other
squad.
day. He retired.
He may have went in and left, but he's 42.
Well,
turned 43.
there ain't no practice squad right now, so he definitely. I think he retired.
Did Whitworth make it? He didn't make it to 40. How old was he?
No.
when he retired?
No, he was up there though. I don't think he made it.
don't
I remember
think
the year the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. He had retired.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was playing with the Rams.
Ty, you were
No,
correct.
no, what am I thinking of?
You were correct.
No, it was like the next year when the Bengals went to the AFC Championship game, I think. They were trying to get him to come out of retirement. I think he retired after they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl with
Yeah.
the Rams, and he retired.
Ty, you're correct. Jason Peters did retire.
I mean, Mike giving us false information over there. What's happening?
Well, one article still had him listed on the Seahawks, and then if you actually search Jason Peters,
Right.
So it
says
would
he
be
retired.
Aaron and Joe would be the
Aaron
two
and
oldest
Joe, the
players,
two oldest,
if Aaron
correct.
comes back, which it looks
Correct.
like he's going to.
I did have a question though. Jim Schwartz in those comments said, he wants more from Myles. I understand, Jason, to your point, that may mean off the field more than on the field. We've asked this question before, but I am curious. I want to ask it again with Mason Graham, with Mike Hall, with hopefully an improved Alex Wright coming off injury and some other options on the outside. They signed JTS, former first-round pick. Is there another level that Myles Garrett's game on the field specifically could go? Like, can he technically be better than we've seen in the past?
I don't know that he could play any better. He could get more sacks. He could have a 20-sack season.
Absolutely.
That'd be
Yeah. I mean, what the record is what, 20 and a half, 20? What's Strahan's
it's
record?
22 and a half.
Oh, 22 and a half.
I don't care what the record is. He could set
He
the
could
record.
break it.
Yeah.
So, in terms of sack production,
22 and a half is the record.
that's the only thing I'd say that Myles Garrett could potentially be better that he hasn't done before.
What's the most
His
sack
sack
he has?
production?
14?
22 and a half.
No,
No, he's had more than that. What's his most? 18?
I think 17. I'll double check. Hold
7.
on.
Okay.
I feel like he did have an 18.
Well,
Him and T.J. Watt was going at it that year, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And T.J. ended up
Myles Garrett
almost-
for his career, his single season sack total high is 16, which he did in back-to-back
so
years.
not even 7.
I thought it was 18.
Here's his career sacks by year.
Oh, he easily could
7,
do that.
13 and a half, 10, 12, 16, 16, 14, 14.
He
Yeah,
really,
so that's 60
on
sacks the last 4 years. So he's averaged 15 sacks. No, 32, 48. He's averaged 14 and a half sacks the last 4 years.
Is it more important for him as an edge rusher to have better help opposite him or up the middle?
up the middle.
Up the middle's
They
better.
can't double him.
Yeah.
Now, I would say the upside of what he's got in the middle this year is the most upside he's ever had.
It's the best talent I believe they've
Yeah.
had.
Now, it's unproven.
Yeah.
Sheldon Richardson was a good player
He
for a
was.
while.
He was.
And then, what's his name? They just
Dalvin Tomlinson.
Dalvin Tomlin's a good player. But Sheldon Richardson was
Yeah,
really good.
he was good.
But he's never had the potential of these two young players.
Agreed.
Mason Graham's obviously
Up
got
there.
elite level potential. Mike Hall's got good, potential. And so if those guys both play really, the key for Myles Garrett more sacks is to somehow get less. He gets double teamed
That's why he needed to
more than
D-tackle.
any other player in the league by a lot.
This is exactly why he needed to D-tackle. Because
And if those guys are good, it's harder to double tackle.
Because if
double
it's
team.
just Alex, let's say Alex Wright just breaks out and have a good year.
Yeah.
Never, as an OC, are you ever going to come out and say, you know what? We're not going to double Myles. We're going to double
Right.
Alex
Double
Wright.
Alex
That's
Wright.
never going to happen.
But if the
if
fired
the
the next
tackles is doing well and they're getting penetration of one, that kills all offensive. Whatever you're trying to do. If you're trying to run the ball and the pressure comes down the middle, you can't do nothing. If you're trying to pass and it comes down the middle, you
Yeah.
can't really go nowhere. So the D tackles, that's why I think they spent the last 2 years trying to get these defensive tackles that can be productive so it can free Myles. That tackle in that guard can't sit there and just stay there, or that tight end can't just sit there all the day long when you got the problem is straight down the middle of the field. So, yeah, Mike Hall and Mason Graham will have to come with it this year.
This does feel like the first time they've invested high currency in that position. They've tried lower round guys, Togiai, Perrion Winfrey.
Well, they did draft Danny Shelton.
Not this crew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But
no.
I meant just since Myles Garrett was.
No, I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
this
You
regime.
just this group. No,
they've tried. They've
Danny
had a lot
Shelton
of.
was first round, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
17th.
But they've signed a lot of one-year veterans.
Yep.
And they've used lower draft capital.
Right.
But to invest a 2 last year in Mike Hall and now the 5th
Right.
pick in Mason Graham, it feels like, I don't know if that's the Jim Schwartz influence, if it's to what you're saying to try and free up Myles to help more in the middle, but something clearly feels like it has changed the last couple of years in the way that they've approached trying to address that spot.
Well, historically, all the Jim Schwartz defensive tackles usually are Pro Bowlers.
Yes.
They're very productive guys. So I think that they wanted to at least have the talent and let Jim develop them guys into being these Pro Bowl type players. Because if you get that, the D line is always a thing. When they had that number 1 defense, the D line was getting home and they was making a lot of plays, which helped the secondary. And I just don't want this thing to be like. Remember the Washington Redskins when they spent they had Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, for 3 straight drafts they went straight D-line, but none of those guys really panned out. I guess Payne did. He ended up getting paid.
But as a whole, it
was supposed to be much better than what it was, but it never got to that. I don't want us to be that.
No,
I want us to be like Philadelphia, where Philadelphia did the same thing. Heck, they got Jordan Davis, and then they got
Nolan Jones or Nolan
Smith. The kid from Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
And now it's they just unstoppable on the D line. I'm hoping that our 2 D tackles can get that, because if you add those type of players with a Myles Garrett, it literally makes everybody's job easy.
And Jason, on Mason Graham, I know Jim Schwartz was asked about him yesterday. Can you fill us in a little bit on what he said about Mason Graham, his development so far, and how he sees him fitting in? I know we had talked about you wanted to ask him which of his previous defensive tackles he kind of reminded him of. I'm not sure if you got a chance to ask him.
No, that was Zach that wanted to ask him that. I actually missed Jim. I got there after Jim. I got there for the practice. I didn't hear his availability, but I saw what he said. He said basically there's a learning curve involved. He's going to be fine. He said everything that you would expect him to say about a top rookie. They're excited about the potential. There will be an adjustment period for him in sort of technique and what he did in college and what they're asking him to do. But it's hard to watch him in practice. It's just it's not a glamour position.
You can't watch him because there ain't no pads.
And you're right. And you're spending so much time focused on the quarterbacks, obviously. Yeah. Hopefully, as we get deeper into summer, we'll have opportunities to watch him a little bit more because it's just so quarterback focused right now.
Is he with the ones?
Yes, that I saw.
Okay. So is Schwartz.
Is Mike Hall out there? Because I
haven't seen him. That doesn't mean he's not. I just haven't. I wasn't looking.
Because I know he had knee injury or something. Yeah. Did he come back from that? Is he practicing? Is the question.
I haven't seen him.
Okay.
But I haven't been looking for him. Okay. So I don't want to say that he wasn't there or anything because I don't know. I didn't see him.
Zach said this morning that it was noticeable that Schlesinger much bigger than the other linebackers.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah.
I think he's bigger than I thought he was. I don't really compare him to the other linebackers, but I am. From all accounts, man, dude can play. Obviously, they took him with the first pick in the 2nd round.
Baldy loved him, by the way. If you haven't seen Brian Baldinger, who does his video breakdowns, if you haven't watched his Carson,
do you think there's anybody that watches this show that has not seen the Brian Baldinger breakdown?
Yeah.
Really?
It's so much.
If you haven't, I highly
so
recommend
much
going to
content
watch
out there.
it.
There's so much.
It's so much riding on that kid.
On Schlesinger?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
Because you ain't if Jerome Baker don't pan out and Jordan Hicks don't give you anything, that JOK not being there is huge.
Yep.
He was literally arguably the 2nd best player on defense last year behind Myles. And
for the last 2 years.
For the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And when he wasn't out there, man, you really noticed he is not out. It was unbelievable.
It's going to be interesting for all the talk we've done, deservedly so, because it's the most important position about quarterback and the 2 quarterbacks drafted. There are likely going to be 4 guys the Browns drafted that are starters. Graham and Schlesinger on defense, and on offense, Judkins and Fannin. Yeah. Maybe technically Fannon's the number 2 tight end, but he's going to play a lot.
He's the starter.
12 personnel.
Right.
Batonio the other day talked about we're getting back to old school Stefanski.
Yeah.
Well, old school Stefanski is 2 tight ends.
And I think there's a lot of guys on offense who are excited about old school Stefanski.
Oh, for sure. That's why they was brought there. I tell you what, that 12 person, I'm telling you, that Njoku and Fanning thing, it's going to cause problems because it forces you out of nickel. You have to run base.
Yeah.
Because if you run nickel, they just going to run the ball, and your nickel going
Yeah.
to get ran up out of there. So you have to go base. But now you're going up against two athletic guys, and these linebackers,
Right.
that covering ain't really their thing. That ain't. I'm here to fill gaps. I ain't really
Yeah.
trying to be play man to man
Right.
on no tight end. And if those two dudes is that athletic, they can really cause a lot of problems.
David Njoku has come so far as a blocker. He was a terrible blocker when he first got here, and he's really progressed. And to credit to him for putting in the work and making the leap that he did. I don't know what kind of blocker Fannin is. Do you know?
I have no idea.
So
I
He
think
did not do a lot of
he's a
blocking.
receiving tight end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So and normally in 12, you got one that's a
Right.
blocker and one that's the pass catcher. So I'm curious to see this with two primary pass catchers. Again, he's out there to catch passes, but he's come
Yeah.
a long way in blocking. I wonder if Fannin, where he's at now,
Yeah.
how far he can get, because obviously the more you can block, the better.
I mean,
Well, if he's out there and they in 12, then they'll start saying it's an obvious passing situation.
I could see a lot of scenarios where the Browns are running 13 personnel with Tillman and Judy on the outside and Fannin and Njoku, and then a third tight end who's like the blocker, because they don't have a third. Like, who's their third wide receiver right now?
Doesn't exist.
The dude that's absent.
Well, I don't know. The guy's been a bum for the last 2 years. He's quit on every team he's been on.
I need to know.
We have legitimate
we
organizations
need to know
that have cut him.
why he's not there.
That's ridiculous.
I have to, please.
There's no legitimate excuse.
Tell
I can't imagine.
me somebody in
So-
his family that is in the hospital, or somebody he's expecting a baby. It has to be.
No.
There's no
If
way
I'm the Browns,
that this man is just skipping OTAs.
If I'm the Browns, and I mentioned this to Zach this morning, and he said it would be an August thing, that's fine. If it's August and there's nobody to be that third receiver, I'd go sign Tyler Boyd, who's a free agent. He's a veteran.
I thought he just got picked up, no?
I don't think so.
He like 37, ain't he?
No, he's not that old.
He up there.
He still had 500 yards last year on a bad Titans team.
They got really carried away with 13 personnel a couple years ago.
Yeah. But Fannin and Njoku are two of their top four receivers on paper.
There's
Yeah,
still
they are.
some really good free agent wide receivers out there. Ain't
Yeah, but
Keenan
Boyd's
Allen
a
out
slot
there?
guy specifically.
Keenan Allen's a slot guy.
What's going on with Keenan Allen?
I think he's waiting until
He's
teams need more
36,
receiver,
30-something.
Nah, Keenan Allen is still.
Yeah, well, he's better than Tyler Boyd, sure.
That's one of the
Why
ones
did
you
the
gotta
Browns
be
sign
nervous.
him instead of Deontay Johnson?
Can't
I
afford.
would've taken
Can't
both.
afford it.
Ford it. Nobody's offering him anything.
How do you know?
I guess I don't know. You're right. All right, go ahead. Mike.
Daniel Oyefusi, we had on the graphic before the show was coming on at 11:30. He's actually coming on at 12:30.
Oh,
So
we got a
bad
little-
job out of us. So we're gonna
little drop
adjust
of the
the
ball there
schedule
by
a little
the
bit here.
behind the
We're gonna
scenes
get to our
team.
next topic, Bowl. We're gonna get to more Brown stuff later. But before we dive into some hypothetical Darius Garland trades, tell us about Menu RX.
Menu RX. I'm meeting with Dr. Jake May today. He's actually in Ohio. He's stopping by my house this afternoon. He is actually going to do some testing on me, some metabolic testing. We're going to find out once and for all what I should be eating, what I shouldn't. Some of these things are obvious that most people would know, but when you get into the weeds on it, different foods work better with different people. So it's whether it's weight loss, just tightening up, or just wanting to have a healthy eating lifestyle, even if you're thin, but you feel like you could be in better shape or you could feel better as we get older. Food has more of an effect on us, no doubt about it. So check out the website, menu-rx.com. Real scientists, doctors, people that actually know what they're doing instead of some idiot on the internet, that can help you get on the right eating plan. One-on-one counseling. They could potentially use your health insurance to cover all the costs, and certainly your HSA or FSA spending accounts. If you sign up with a Menu RX plan today, you will get a 1-year membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show absolutely free. That's a $60 value for $0. Go to menu-rx.com for more information. That's menu-rx.com.
Thank you for that, Bowl. We got 10 Darius Garland trades
Ooh, I like
that
it.
I'm going to pitch to you guys,
Sheesh.
and they're
I'm
all
telling you
cap
right now,
compliant.
if you and Jason say no to all 10,
No.
I'm throwing you both the hell out of here.
So they're all cap compliant, so they
Yeah.
work money-wise.
Why do we have to say yes to one of them?
There has to be
have-
one trade that we can
Why?
make. There can't be 10 that
Why?
are bad.
You hate Darius that much?
Why? But that's insane. You have to trade him. Come up with something.
No.
Figure it out.
I find it hard to believe that with 10 possibilities, you can't find one that you like.
I tried to make these deals that I thought made sense to at least a varying degree for both sides. I'm not trying to fleece any team here. Ones that if this trade got called into either front office, they'd at least have to have a conversation.
If the Cavs can't get one trade that's good for him, then how good is he? That's all I'm saying.
We'll find out.
It's not.
No, go ahead.
No, Jason, go first.
Go ahead.
But I'm just saying, it's not necessarily the NBA trades are so freaking complicated. It's not just a talent for talent.
That's fair. And it's a terrible job by the NBA.
I mean, baseball, you could trade whoever you want and get whoever you want, and that's just not the case in the NBA.
Well,
I do want to mention
it's good and bad. I do like that we have more. It seems like better competitive balance in the NBA than we've had maybe ever.
Absolutely.
But
read the New York Times today for my 2-page spread.
I'm going to do that later.
The Indiana. No, you're not.
You did a 2-page.
What do you mean I'm not? I read most of what you write.
I just wrote something on the Pacers never tank.
So, like, if I actually get a newspaper,
Yeah, it's in today's
Are you
New
saying
York
the
Times.
Pacers are the guardians
I might
of
go.
the
I
NBA?
haven't bought a newspaper in 20 years. I might go buy one just to see it.
So when you were
Barnes
when
and
you were
Noble's like the only
10,
place
you were
you could buy
buying
the New York
newspapers.
Times.
Well, so when I was 10, my grandfather, they got them delivered.
Yeah, oh,
so I
yeah.
used to always.
I
take
used to
it.
deliver newspapers.
Did you really?
I had a bike route. I had a paper route
Nice.
in middle school.
Were
I'm
you
sure
good
Jason
at-
was
were
like
you
throwing
good
through
at-
windows.
Yeah,
I'm
I
about to
can see that
say
too.
he definitely
Before we
missed.
dive into these
Yeah,
hypotheticals,
go ahead.
The Ringer put out its updated top 100 players this morning. It's 8 different writers. They aggregate, not aggregate.
What sport? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first
Top
part.
100
NBA.
NBA players.
NBA, okay.
This
Why
is
would you
up
do that
to-
now?
Darius
I know,
is
it's so
better.
They
stupid.
update it every 3 months.
Tell me
this was the
Darius
updated
is in it.
version. Darius was 28, just a heads up.
Of course he's in it. Top 100. I mean.
I know, I'm just saying he's 28.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty good.
That's the level of player
That's pretty
that they
good.
are.
Yeah.
It's
dealing
Jared.
with
It's
here.
Jared Allen in it.
Yeah, the Cavs have 5 guys in it.
Who's the fifth?
Hunter.
DeAndre
Donovan
Hunter?
was 8, Mobley 17, Garland 28, Allen 57, Hunter 82. But I just wanted to say that because Garland.
So
is
who's
28.
after Garland? The next couple of guys. I want to know, please.
I gotta unfilter this.
Come on now with the unfilterings.
2 guys before 25, Jaren Jackson Jr., 2060, Aaron Fox, 27, Chet Holmgren, 28, Darius Garland, 29, Jamal Murray, 30, James Harden, 31, DeMontis Sabonis, 32, Bam Adebayo, 33, Trae Young.
Wait a second. As much as a bum as he is, there's no way Darius Garland's better than James Harden, is he?
Oh, God.
You're telling me Darius Garland's a better basketball player than James
Today?
Harden?
James Harden
And
is
today?
a dog.
I know he's a dog.
Okay.
Today.
What has Darius Garland done when it matters?
Why you act like Darius is a bum?
Bull's
I'm
going
saying-
way too far the opposite
You
direction.
really have. Like, he really nice though. Like, he really like that with that
No, he's
basket.
not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's
he
not.
got hurt.
He's the opposite
He
of like that.
literally got hurt.
He always gets hurt.
The man is like a walking 20. Like, with 8 assists.
I'm sorry. Scoring 20 points a game in the NBA is that's like being a 1,000-yard running back. It's nice, but it's not
my
special.
Bull, I don't know if
goodness.
you were here the day I asked this.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking about like the soft
Yeah.
and everything else. If Darius played game 2 and the Cavs lost, would you feel the same way about him that you do today? No, you wouldn't.
Maybe.
You wouldn't.
It's
It really, everything that we're talking about with Darius, and I thought he should have played.
Yeah.
He should have.
It all comes down to game 2
Oh,
because he
okay,
played
but-
game 3 and on.
You're over.
It all comes down to game
You guys
2.
are overstating how down I am on Darius. I just think. Let me finish.
He about to give us 10
There's got to
trades,
be a
and
trade
one of
out
them
there.
you
Say
better
yes
take
to
it.
one of them. Let me say. You have to change the mix on the team. Is all. I'm
Why
saying.
is it him? Why isn't it
Because
Allen?
who's it supposed to be?
Allen.
Allen's just a guy. He's not going to change the mix enough.
He's 57.
We're doing Jared Allen trades tomorrow. So,
I
Bull, you
can't
won't
wait.
be here, but we're doing
I'm
Jared.
going to watch it.
These are the 10 that I came up with that I think.
All right, go ahead. Let's go.
Will any of these happen? Maybe, maybe not. But at least I think the both front offices would have to have at least a conversation.
All right,
if it was called.
let's go. Let's
First
go
one's
with
a
the
deal
first
that's
one
been
here.
floated around for a while now online, and it's the deal with the Magic for Darius Garland. Suggs, De Silva, and a first-round pick. It works for the cap. Both teams. Ty, would you do it?
I like that deal for Darius, honestly. If I was Darius, I wouldn't mind going there because he would be a star with Wagner and
Yeah.
And
he loses in the
Paolo.
first round every year. He's used
But
to that.
no, but they still be really nice. I would not make that trade. How tall is Jalen Suggs anyway?
He's 6'5".
Give me a Jalen Suggs little breakdown. What's his deal?
He's a defender. Just a
Super good defender.
Yeah.
Is hurt more than Darius Garland. He's missed 50 more games
I
over the
wouldn't
last
make
4
the trade.
seasons.
Then I don't want to do that then.
It's not about. It is about injuries, of course.
Yeah.
It's about when are they occurring and when are you healthy.
Yeah.
You need them you need them to be in shape and to play with these guys.
Yeah.
But you're April, May, and June.
That's
what this is
So would you
about.
make this trade?
I would strongly consider it.
Okay, then I'm in. If
I
Jason's
would
considering it, I'm in.
strongly. I would consider it. I'm not saying yes.
How
but
was-
it's
I know
one that-
Mike likes this Tristan Da
Yeah,
Silva.
how was he this year? He was supposed to
It-
be your sharpshooter.
Yeah, he was solid for them. I mean,
And
he
what's
didn't play
it's a middle
a
first round
ton.
pick, right?
Yeah, he was 18th overall.
Ultimately, I don't think I would because I think Darius is just a really good basketball player.
I change.
but
Would you make this trade, Mike?
I would not. No.
Yeah, I
I
don't-
thought you told me the other
if
day
I
you
was
would.
Darius, I would want it because I would want to go to the Magic.
All right,
with
that
with
gives me
those
hope.
two.
The fact that Jason would consider
I would
that,
consider. I'm
I,
not saying
I would
yes.
consider it, but at the end of the day,
you wouldn't do it.
I think Suggs.
Tell me why.
Suggs is super injury prone.
Yeah.
Once again, all the injury concerns with Darius, he's played 50 more games over the last 4 seasons
Yeah.
than Jalen Suggs has. Suggs has missed more playoff games in his
Yeah.
career than Darius has. He's played in fewer opportunities.
It's because he's
Mike,
big.
And he's had 1 good year as a shooter.
If I could guarantee you, both guys are going to be healthy for April, May, and June.
Darius.
Would you do the? Would you make the
I'm
trade?
taking Darius.
I would think long and hard about it, and I'd have to think longer and harder than I have.
See, but it's not about who. We're not trying to. We know that Darius Garland, when healthy, is better, but it doesn't matter. We got to change the chemistry on the team
Why is it him?
because he's their best player that they can trade.
I know I mentioned this on the Cavs pod Mike and I did the other day. I don't know if I talked about this on this show or not. Prior to the start of the playoffs, I was talking to someone in the league who I really trust who said he thought the Cavs would struggle with Boston. Obviously, none of this happened. But at the time, it was certainly shaping up like Cavs Celtics.
Yeah.
And he said they could force Darius off the floor because they're so small in the backcourt. Boston's going to put him in pick and roll. They're going to switch everything, and they're just going to abuse him.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to get more size back there. And that's always been stuck in the back
Right.
of my head.
Got to get more size.
And
Tyvis.
I do – size matters.
Yeah.
And I do think
The motion of the ocean.
I've always been slow to break up the Donovan Darius. I've been all along. I'd break up the front court before the back court. But that did sort of resonate with me that against some of these bigger teams. Again, Pacers is a perfect example. You don't feel it or notice it when it's one game and then you move on to the next city.
Right.
But when you have to hit them and hit them and hit them 7 in a row, 7 games in a row, and you got to combat this size and you got to deal with this. And again, this is before Tatum got hurt, but I kept thinking back to the game Cleveland-Boston when Darius switches on to Tatum and Tatum just takes him in the lane and beats the hell out of him. So that's why I'm not saying
But
yes
guess,
to it, but I would
guess what
consider it.
though? You don't have to worry about that next year.
No, but there's other teams built like that.
Like who?
Who's built like, well, I mean, you're going to laugh at me. Atlanta's got a ton of size. And I
But Darius is also the same size as Trae Young, so
yeah, he is, but Atlanta's got more long and athletic wings. And I don't think Atlanta's ready. Mike asked the question yesterday on our pod, who would you take over the next 5 years in the East? What team would you take? And I picked Atlanta over the next 5 years. Because, like, over the next 2 years, I'd take the Cavs in the East. Over the next 5 years, I really like Atlanta.
You take the Cavs as the top team in the East?
Right now, yeah.
We got 9 more deals, so I want to get through
Go
some
ahead,
of
yeah,
these.
next one.
I think that one was always going to be the long. I mean, I haven't seen the rest of these, but that one's been out there for so long. It deserved a couple more
I mean,
minutes.
if they did it,
I'll quickly
if the
say,
Cavs did it, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it at all. But like, I'd rather have Darius.
we can
Go
quickly
ahead.
shoot down the next 9. Go ahead.
The next one is the prototypical 2-for-1. We saw the Raptors make a deal for OG where they got 2 players back.
Oklahoma
And this
City.
involves one of those names. Bill, you mentioned R.J. Barrett yesterday.
No.
Never. Next.
R.J. Barrett and Ochai Agbaji
We gonna get
No.
him back?
They already
No.
had Agbaji.
Yeah. Nope.
for Darius Garland.
Next.
No.
They had Baji was the draft
With,
pick,
with the
right?
Utah. Yep.
Went to
Nope.
Did
Utah.
he do anything?
Nope.
No.
He was actually not bad this year. 11 points, 5 rebounds, shot 50% from the floor, 40% from the
Next.
Defender?
decent.
You know what? I actually like this. We don't need to spend a ton of time on this, but the Cavs have done a really nice job in the draft. Really nice job. Like Jalen Tyson, I think they found something there.
Yeah.
He's going to have more of a role here going forward, especially I think they're going to lose Merrill or Ty or both. Abaji, if Abaji turns into a player, like they've just done a really nice job hitting on picks.
But you didn't say that about Colin.
Mike, what do
Sexton
you
when
think
he
about
was
that
here.
trade?
They misused him. It wasn't a bad
No,
pick.
Then why'd you put it up
ripped
there?
him.
No,
I did.
no.
It wasn't a bad pick.
You asked for trades for Darius Garland. I'm
was-
giving
I know,
you
but
trade
I
options.
really want you to make trades that you would consider doing.
So
at
he can't
least.
be the one on the team.
There are not a ton of teams that need a point guard. I think that deal, if you wanted to switch
Because
things up
Darius
for the sake
is not
of
good
switching
enough.
up.
Wait a minute.
No.
Before we move on,
Yes.
the Cavs took Sexton and then the next year they took Darius?
Yeah.
Yes.
Both of them are like 6'2", 6'1"?
Yeah.
So they was going to do this small backcourt thing no matter what.
They've had it that
Oh,
way.
well, then that's their own fault.
All right, go
All
ahead.
right, next one. Straight up. Zion for Darius. Money works.
No.
I would do that. I know Zion can't stay healthy. That's the one trade where you actually get the better player.
I don't know if Zion's
If-
when healthy, he's
I was
definitely
about to
better.
say, when
He's
healthy.
healthy, yes, he's definitely better.
You can't get that man ain't been healthy since he been in the league.
I know. But
I
he's so
don't-
talented.
He is, but man. Okay, so what's that lineup look like? Give me the lineup with Zion.
That lineup doesn't. I mean, you have no shooting.
That's what-
Allen, Zion, and Mobley.
I'm not
You
doing
got to
that.
trade Allen
No,
also.
I'm not doing that.
We're not doing double deals here.
And by the way,
I'm not doing
And
that,
by the
dude.
way, why would New Orleans ever make that trade?
Yeah, New Orleans did here a couple times. Jason pointed out, I think it was Monday, that they're trying to be bad. But if they're just trying to shake things up and get off the Zion contract's bigger.
They can get
Than Darius'
they can get
contract.
more appealing pieces back for Zion than a $45 million point guard.
All right, I'd still do it.
All right,
Go ahead.
what about this one?
Bull
It
crazy.
includes Zion and Darius, but let's make it a little more interesting. Darius and Strus for Zion and Herb Jones, the big coveted
Why,
defensive
if we're
wing.
going to do the other one, why would we not do this one?
Why can't we? Why
it in there.
Can
Herb
we?
Jones is better than Strus, isn't he?
We can't get
different
Trey
player, but
Murphy,
yeah, probably.
man.
I don't like Strus. I want him out.
We can't get
Who do you like?
Trey Murphy.
Donovan.
And Evan. But you don't even really like
I
Evan.
don't love Evan.
I understand Strus
don't
had
like
a terrible
Evan?
elimination game.
Yeah.
Pax was really good in the playoffs.
I know.
He was really good.
I don't.
He's like the one dude that I felt Donovan trusted the most of everybody
Yeah.
on the floor.
100%. All right, next one. This is not a Pelicans
he looks like a
deal.
D3
We'll hear the
point guard.
Pelicans again in a sec. Bull, I mentioned this to you the other day, and you were unfamiliar with Michael Porter Jr.'s game.
Yeah.
But if you got MPJ in a first, would you give up Darius Garland? Ty?
That's not bad, actually. That's not.
He's
bad.
another guy who's always hurt, right? Porter.
Not. I mean, yes.
He's
but-
got chronic back issues.
Yeah, well, that messes up a lot.
That's a late
If you
first
can
round
guarantee me that he was healthy,
Jason.
I think
I
about
would.
it.
I like Porter. I would.
I want
make
to say
this
I
deal.
would literally. I seriously think about
I
it.
would. I would consider. I'd strongly consider. But
He's been much healthier the last 2 years.
What
Worth pointing
what
out.
did you what did Porter Jr. What were his numbers this past year?
This year, 18 points per game.
Damn.
He shot 50% from the floor
whoa,
and
whoa.
40% from three.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
What did
he-
you just say to me about 20 points?
I know, but I didn't. I don't know why I thought of he was like not a guy that scored much.
Oh, he's
That's all he
he's
does.
a sharpshooter,
shoots.
and he
He's a
get
scorer.
bored.
Oh yeah, he doesn't do anything else.
He
Yes.
get bored.
But he's a big dude, right?
6'10".
He's 6'10".
there was a lot of concern on him coming out of the draft about his
Right.
back. That's why he
Yeah.
fell. Cavs passed on him because of the back.
Missed his entire rookie season because of the back.
And then you'd have to you trade Jarrett Allen for.
You can play him at the 3. What you talking about?
Oh,
Yeah,
We're doing
Por-
Allen trades tomorrow, Bull. I'm not
All right.
going to entertain any of your
Your,
Allen
your,
secondary
your
hypotheticals
lineup
here.
would be like
I was just looking for like what type of player.
you could
not
run
necessarily.
like Donovan, Max, MPJ, Evan, Jarrett, or
Yes.
Hunt, if you want to put, and you can still have Ty and Hunter come
Yeah.
off the bench.
That'd be a very big lineup. For everyone complaining about the lack of size for the Cavs,
this
that
would
would give
address
you
it.
6'2", 6'5", 6'10", 6'11",
I-
7'4".
And in theory, you could start Donovan at the 1 and Hunter at the 2,
That
right?
might be
You
the
could.
And
that
then,
one.
then you'd have the biggest team.
You take away the back issues. That one, I
All
wouldn't
right.
mind that.
All right, we're in on that one. Go ahead.
All right, next one. There's a couple different iterations of this trade. It's
right,
with the
lot of
Timberwolves.
iterations.
Jaden McDaniels would be the centerpiece. I went with Dante DiVincenzo because I like Dante DiVincenzo the most out of the other pieces. You
I'd
can go
make
with
this
some
trade.
younger guys to add the salary up that would be equivalent to DiVincenzo. If you want to go Terrence Shannon, there's a couple iterations, but
Is
essentially
McDaniels a good shooter or no?
okay shooter.
He's okay, yeah. He's more of a defender.
What I like about a trade like this is it feels like McDaniels and DiVincenzo do a lot of little things well. Like a lot of they're versatile players, aren't they? To some degree.
I mean, McDaniels is a flat-out 3-and-D guy. That
Right.
offers almost no shot creation. He's a stand in the corner and shoot. Or
But
dunk
he
it in
plays
transition.
defense, doesn't he?
Great defender.
And he's a rebounder, no?
He averaged 4.2 rebounds per game
That's
this
it.
year.
And DiVincenzo, little of everything.
He's just a shooter.
Shooting guard. Can shoot.
He's
Very
a
good
shooter.
shooter.
All right, maybe I'm
Three-point
totally off. I don't know.
I would not do this.
I
Not
don't
make
think
this
I
trade.
would.
Mike, would you
either.
make this trade?
I love McDaniels. I don't. You're losing so much shot creation, dropping off from Darius to those two because Dante's not really his own shot creator. He's more.
Is
of
there another player besides DiVincenzo?
Let me ask
I
you.
mean, like Terrence Shannon, if you want to take a risk on a young guy, but he barely played this year. You go with Rob Dillingham, who they traded up for.
He didn't play in the playoffs
I don't love
for
this.
some odd reason. Was he hurt in the playoffs, or did he just
Who?
not play?
Dillingham?
Yeah.
No, he didn't see. They traded up to draft him, and he barely played this year.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. Now, let me ask you about Kenny Atkinson's offense. If you know how you said Jaden McDaniels is a stand in the corner guy, but with Kenny's offense, it's a lot of motion, a lot of picks and stuff. You don't think he can fit in that catch and shoot off the screens?
He hasn't shown us the ability. Can he? Maybe, but he didn't do that in Minnesota. He was
How big is DiVincenzo?
6'4".
6'3", 6'4".
he's not big.
He
All right.
is 6'4", 200 pounds.
All right. Next.
All right, so this one makes no sense for the Clippers to do, but I was trying to find trades that satisfied Bulls, turn Darius into pieces. If the Clippers wanted to do this, would they do
My cousin.
Darius for Norm Powell, Derrick Jones Jr., and Chris Dunn?
That's my
I don't know
cousin.
enough about any of those players. You guys tell me.
Norm Powell got that jumper.
Yeah. I would not do this.
I wouldn't do it either, but Norm Powell got a jumper. That's my cousin, man. He got a jumper. It runs.
Norm Powell was awesome this year.
It runs in the family.
Does Tyvis have a jumper, Mike? Have you seen him play?
You never seen me play?
I haven't.
I thought you guys played once.
Nah.
What do you think Norm Powell averaged this year?
22 points.
Jason, what do you think?
No, 21.
15 and a half-ish.
Bo, what do you think?
I have no idea. I'm not going to bother to guess.
He averaged 22 points this
I was way
year,
off.
shooting 49 from the floor and 43 from three.
Wow.
He was that guy. Now he folded in the playoffs. I tell you that. he really did.
He was
He really did
awesome
show out
this
in the
year.
playoffs.
Awesome.
But he wasn't awesome when it matters, according to Tyvis. We have
Yeah.
enough players like that
You
on this team.
trade me Zubac for Allen straight up.
LA would laugh at you.
I know they
Why would they do that?
They wouldn't, but I just like Zubac. He like a 20.
All right.
He's the thumper.
Two more.
Yeah, you talking
If
about
you-
being
if you
soft
took
in the
that
you ain't
Clippers-
never got to hear that no more.
Would you make that trade with the Clippers?
No, because I don't like Dunn, and I don't really think Derrick Jones.
If you
Jr.
had that
answers.
exact same trade but added Zubac and Allen in there, would you make the trade?
What? What'd you say?
Yeah, Garland and Allen for Zubac, Norm Powell. I have to if they're depending on the contract length. Yeah, I would think about that. I love
Okay.
Zubac.
Would you do it, Jason, if they added Zubac and Allen in there?
I mean, LA's never going to do that. But
Okay, well, then it's pointless. Next.
All right, we got two more. Bull, you're gonna love this one. What if the Cavs turn Darius Garland into your two favorite white guys, Tyler Hero and Kevin Love?
Did you know his brother just committed to Ohio State?
I don't want
I saw
Tyler
that.
Hero, and I don't want Kevin Love on this team. The Cavs are already the least likable team. They went from being most likable to now I hate them.
why is Kevin Love not likable? What's wrong with Kevin?
I guess he's likable
Honestly,
now.
if they made this trade, it'd be the same thing defensively. If the
Yeah,
Cavs
Tyler
picked
Hero.
on him defensively, then the Celtics and whoever else is going to pick on him defensively as well.
Tyler Hero is.
And Darius would be salty that he got traded for that guy
Yeah.
that he just talked trash about.
They're the same player. Let's go.
All right, and then last deal here, Bull.
This is depressing.
Once again, the Pelicans are involved in this. It does not include Trey Murphy, but DeJounte Murray and Jose Alvarado.
Isn't Jose Alvarado like 50? Am I thinking of somebody else?
You're thinking of someone. You're thinking of Jose Calderon.
That's what I'm thinking of, Jose Calderon.
He's
Good
a
call.
coach here.
Good call.
Calderon, he's
Yeah.
a coach
No,
here.
he's on the front office.
front
I
office
think.
here.
Oh, okay.
Alvarado
Good
would
dude.
be
Really nice guy.
Alvarado is Matthew Dellavedova, but Spanish.
He's Spanish. He's
Kind of.
Matthew
Spanish
Spanish-Adova.
Kind of like that. Murray is a bigger point guard. He's coming off an Achilles injury, so that's
Yeah.
the hindrance.
When did he tear the Achilles?
in February, so he's going to miss the first part of the season.
I don't care.
May
I
not
just
be
need
the
him for the
same.
playoffs.
But
DeJounte Murray was great in San Antonio.
He has not been as good since he's left San
Correct.
Antonio. But he's a
But the
bigger
Pelicans
point
is
guard.
where players go to die, basically, right?
It didn't
Yes.
really work in Atlanta either.
Okay.
I'm cool.
How big is he?
I'm not a DeJounte.
6'5" and a good defender.
I'm not a DeJounte. That man right
I mean,
there.
that trade's a no-brainer, isn't it?
That man right
No,
there
it's not a no-brainer.
has cost me so much money on FanDuel that I can't stand him.
Who, DeJounte?
Yeah, I can't stand
As an overall
I
player,
can't bet on him at
how
all.
much is the difference between Garland and Murray?
Different kind of player.
Murray's a shot creator?
Yes. Not much of a three-point shooter.
Okay.
Works more in that mid-range, get to the cup. He's a better defender than Darius is, and he's bigger. Not as much of a playmaker, and definitely not as much of a shooter.
Have any of these stops that he struggled in with Atlanta and the Pelicans, has it been an issue because of him, like personal issues, chemistry stuff?
He did not mesh well with Trae Young.
So whose fault is that?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Like, does he have any kind of reputation of being a pain in the ass?
I don't know, actually. Jason, you may
No.
have some more insight into that.
No, I don't think he's
All
got a
right.
reputation for that.
I mean, is Alvarado, like, in the playoffs, are you using Alvarado as your third, as your backup point guard for 15 minutes or no?
I love Alvarado. I would.
Well, if Alvarado is a player I can use in the playoffs, then I'm making that trade.
I'm not.
I like Alvarado a lot. I'm not.
So would
I
you
may
make
be a
this
little
trade?
biased. Coming off an Achilles injury, no.
Why? What's the difference?
Not taking DeJounte.
I don't need him in the beginning of the season. Who
Not
cares?
taking DeJounte Murray.
If he injured his Achilles in February,
Yeah.
and we're assuming it's at least a year, and we just saw what
I don't
happened
think
with
it's at least
Deshaun
a
and all
year.
these guys coming off an Achilles.
It's not. What do you mean, Deshaun? We don't know anything about Deshaun.
That's what I'm saying.
Deshaun couldn't play before the Achilles. He's a bum. I mean, it's not
I'm
our
saying the
fault.
average time for an Achilles is a year. And
No,
then
it's not. Not anymore.
Is it not?
yes, it is. Yes.
Aaron Rodgers was back in less than a year.
Did he play?
Yes, he played last year.
No, he missed the whole year, didn't he?
No, he missed. He missed the 23 season, but then he was ready to go at the start of the 24 season.
I think 10 months is aggressive and about.
Even if it's a year, that's 2 months before the playoffs begin.
I'm not. He no.
You have to integrate him into an entire new system with guys he's never
Who
played.
cares? You're only the regular. Integrate what, Mike?
No,
the regular season doesn't matter.
But Mike's point is it's a new DNA that you're injecting into the. I remember when Kyrie came back from the knee. I think it was the year of the championship that they won, and what a process that was to get him acclimated. And he did know, and he was here. I think that was the year that they won the championship, and just the amount of practice that it took and the hours of just trying to get him back up to speed.
Yeah.
Injuries that cost you the start of the season, I agree. April, May, and June, you got to be healthy for April, May, and June. But when it's a new guy who's new to the
I hear
system, you need time for them to figure it out.
I
and
think
play
ultimately
together.
the bottom line of this whole conversation is I am convinced, and I certainly could be proven wrong, but I am convinced that the Cavs cannot win a championship as is. Now, you guys, I think, still believe it's possible that they could win as is.
If Evan...
Right. And if you believe they can still win as is, I would understand why you'd be hesitant to make some of these trades. Where I'm like, I got to trade Darius for the best trade I can trade him for because I can't win with Darius as my third best player. I
want to wrap up to get Guardians, so I want to get our last topic in.
Yeah.
Both those, because you were the most adamant about making a move. Which one of those was your favorite?
Can you put them all on the screen real quick, like rapid fire? Like 5 seconds each. Can you do that?
Yeah,
Is that
270.
possible?
270. The first one, Steve, was 283. We'll do rapid fire.
There's two that I would
There's only one that I like.
consider, but I don't know that I would make any of them.
It's only one.
Okay.
That's one I would
Maybe
consider.
with the Magic. Go ahead. No.
No.
Yes.
No.
Magic
No.
or Zion.
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the only one I like.
No. 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 Yes.
That was the last one.
All right, I would make 4 of those trades. I'd make the Magic trade, I'd make the Zion trade, I'd make that last one, and I'd make the Michael
So
Porter
I'm
Jr.
glad I gave you some options then, Bull.
The best one, I think the general consensus seems to be the Michael Porter Jr. trade is the best one.
The Porter one and the Orlando one, I would consider both.
Do
I'm
you
not a
think
strong
those
yes on any
teams
of
would
them.
consider those trades?
I think Orlando would consider that. Yeah.
Orlando would do that in a, I
I'm
think
about to
Orlando
say
would do
the-
that in a heartbeat.
So maybe you could get a little more from.
I don't know why
Atlanta then.
Denver would.
The
make that
Nuggets
deal.
wouldn't do that because Jamal.
They got
Murray.
Jamal Murray, and now
Okay.
they're creating the same problem the Cavs are
So
trying to get out
okay,
of.
so then let's dive into that Magic trade a little more. If you think that if you guys believe, who's the Magic's point guard?
Jalen
Jalen
Suggs.
Suggs.
Oh, okay. Well, so Darius is an upgrade for them.
And he's a better fit with their other
Better
two-
fit. Okay.
Yes.
So don't you think the Magic might give up even a little more?
Nope.
Is there another player?
They're not giving up 2 1s.
Is there another player that you could get from
They
them?
got a center. Who they centers?
There's too much money. Then we're getting into money.
That's what I'm saying.
Wait, who's their best center?
Wendell Carter Jr.
How much does he make?
Not a ton.
What if you added Allen to this trade?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Then
thinking about.
Wendell Carter Jr. makes $12.5 million.
And Wendell Carter Jr. is a shooter, right, for a big man?
He can shoot.
Yeah, but they wouldn't want Jared Allen. Jared Allen would muck up their
I'm about
already
to say, yeah,
non-shooting
with
roster.
the
I
two
gotcha.
bigs, with Franz
Yeah.
and Paulo.
So this
he'd
is
be in
Bo's
the way.
favorite deal. We'll get you the Jared Allen deals tomorrow. The Magic.
I think the Michael Porter Jr. might be my favorite deal, but you guys say they won't.
The Nuggets would never do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Would the Pelicans wouldn't make the Zion trade?
No.
What about that last trade? The one that I said I like.
I think New Orleans would consider that.
No, not New Orleans. The last one you put up, the last trade.
Yeah, DeJounte Murray.
Oh yeah, that was the
New
New
Orleans.
Orleans too.
Yeah, I think they would do that.
Could you get a little more from New Orleans in this trade?
No, he
Money-wise,
sucks.
it's
He's
real
a dog.
tough. Yeah.
Didn't say he sucks or is.
Yeah. You said
I
you
didn't say
didn't.
he sucks. I
That's
say
what
soft.
you insinuate.
He's injury prone.
All right, we got
Jason,
Jared.
you've said many times he's immature.
I also said he grew up quite a bit this year. I did say that. I think he's got more room to go.
Way to cover your
It's funny
tracks.
that Bold thinks that he's soft and this terrible player, yet he's trying to get more out of all these teams for someone who's
Well, you
soft.
guys keep telling
That's
me
the part
how
of
good he is, so I'm like,
negotiations. You
okay,
gotta
we'll
see
get
how
more.
far. You can see how far you can take this thing.
Let's go. Who else could you get from New Orleans in that last trade?
Jordan Hawkins.
We can't get Trey Murphy, man. That's
no.
the only person I actually will want off of that.
Who?
Trey Murphy.
Trey
the
Murphy
third.
is my dream target. I don't know why they would trade him, so I
Small
did not put him
forward,
in here.
like
But all right, but we
6'10"
got to talk some
shooter.
Guardians, then we got to get one more thing in.
By the way,
So
why
let's-
is Tom Chambers not in the Hall of Fame? Can you explain this to me?
We'll do it in overtime. We got to get these two topics in. We want to get these two in. Our next topic is brought to us by FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook with the NBA Finals in full swing. You can bet on anything you want. Game-winning shots, breakout players. There's never been a better time to get in on the action. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com/UCSS and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Bo, Luis Ortiz was awesome last night. The Guardians shut out the Yankees. Take game 2 of the series. And Ortiz, man, he's been their best starter this season. And Andres Jimenez has been a disaster in Toronto. I know it's one start and the comparison's too early to say there's a winner and a loser in the trade, but the Guardians may have done it again here with a pitcher.
I don't know about again because almost every move they've made in recent years has been bad. But this trade right now looks pretty good.
The Lane Thomas trade last year in the playoffs was paying off.
Well,
It paid off.
whatever. I mean,
The pitcher got hurt, so we
Luis Ortiz has been very good for the Guardians so far. He's been, and I liked him when they made the move. I said I liked Luis Ortiz. The whole thing goes back to payroll and people celebrating the Guardians, trading away money as if that's a great success for the organization. But Luis Ortiz has done a really nice job. That was a 3-team trade. Spencer Horwitz went to Toronto. Spencer Horwitz went to Pittsburgh. He's been horrible so far there. Jimenez has been hideous.
He's been hurt a lot too.
Yeah.
Jimenez
Jimenez has been on the deal
Yeah.
for like 3 weeks.
He
or a
just
month.
came back.
What about
Is he off now?
Just came back a day or
how's
two
Josh
ago.
Naylor doing?
He's
That-
cooled off a little bit, but he's
That's a
having very
different
good year.
trade.
No, but I was just asking because I know they traded him.
Hey, by the way, what they got back for Naylor is looking just fine so far.
What did they get for?
Saccone. It's only been a couple starts, but he's been terrific as well. So it's hard to get starting pitching, man.
I can't judge
Look,
trades.
He mad about it.
I
He got it right.
I can't judge trades this soon. I mean,
that's
it's just-
fair. That's fair. But
the Guardians lineup still sucks.
it's hard to acquire
Yeah.
starting pitching that's good, and it's almost impossible to acquire cheap starting pitching. And they got 2 in Ortiz and Ciccone, and we'll see. It is early on both.
Yeah.
Exactly how much more of a payroll? Like,
The Guardians payroll should be at least $50 million higher.
where's sheesh, 50 million more?
Yeah.
I think they could carry 120 million.
And
Oh, come on. They could carry
currently-
150.
What's
where are they currently? Like, what do you think they are?
100.
It's $100 million right now.
So you think if they just took it to 120?
I think
They
they
could-
I think every team in baseball could carry 120 to 125 million.
So if the Guardians took it to 120, you could see them like winning the World Series. How many bats?
see them winning the World
how
Series
many
now.
more bats would that bring?
Well, it
Wouldn't bring any.
depends. It depends. Are you talking now as a mid-season trade?
No,
or are you talking
like
free
off
agency?
free agency.
You could get one impact bat for $20 million.
Okay.
That's it. You're not getting more than that. But it is incredible that
And
they've
you
struggled
say
to
it need
find
to be
hitters.
150.
Yeah. I don't believe any of these owners. They're all full of crap.
That's ridiculous.
There's way more money than they
You
pretend
want them
there
to
is.
put $50 million more into this?
Yeah, they should. They've done it before. They did it pre-COVID.
I don't think they got up to 150.
With Encarnacion, they were close.
Not 150. I think they were like 125, 130, 130.
Mike, look up what the Guardians' payroll was in 2017, please. That was when they signed Encarnacion, right?
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah. Coming off the World Series.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And he was here 1 year and they got him out. And it wasn't.
Adjusted payroll?
What the hell does that mean?
It says adjusted payroll $132 million.
There's,
Whatever it is, that makes me more right than him, so go with that one.
I don't know what that means, adjusted payroll.
I don't know what it means either.
It just says adjusted payroll total was
Look at
$132
COTS.
million.
Go to COTS.
Yeah.
COTS contracts. It wasn't celebrating getting off, like dumping money, but I did think that the Jimenez deal was going to be an anchor on this franchise.
124.
Boom. I almost hit it exactly.
So you only.
All right, what about 2018?
You know,
Look at that. Look at that.
134 in 2018 was the highest.
Okay. What was the Guardians' payroll in
96.
96?
when they had the greatest lineup in
COTS
history.
only goes back to 2000.
Okay.
They weren't even at 100 million in 96.
Well, what were they in 2000, Mike?
76.
Yeah, so now they're
In
20
2004,
they're
they were
24 million more than 25 years ago. That's a disgrace.
Who owned it in 2000? That'd have been Dolan's in 2000. That was Dolan's. Going back to the Jacobs era, the Jacobs spent what they brought in. That was it. So that was a good comp for like
Right, but the top payrolls weren't way more. It wasn't
not what it is
crazy.
now. Yeah.
They went all the way
They got
to.
it, the Guardians' priority is not winning. Owner's
That's-
priority is not winning.
That's ridiculous.
Not win at all costs. No.
That's I can hear that, but not
Yeah.
winning. That's ridiculous.
That's not his number one priority.
What is his number one priority?
I don't know.
Just
Saving
put a
money.
put a good product on the
You know,
field?
putting his son in Senate. I don't know what his number one priority is, but it's not winning.
They
No.
always good.
Everyone makes a big deal about the
Yeah.
contributions, the
Yeah.
election. It was like a couple $1 million. It wasn't anything
All right.
drastic. It was a middle reliever. It wasn't even a good middle reliever.
Okay, well, they wasted $7 million on a middle
But that
reliever
has
this
nothing
year.
to do with the $2 million they gave to the election or whatever it was.
The payroll, I want proof of what they can afford to spend.
I
The
have
franchise is worth what? $2 billion?
not that much, but over $1 billion. I think they're all over
Okay.
$1 billion now.
Well,
They don't have enough money, sell it, now you have $1 billion.
Real quick, because I want to do 10
Yeah.
more minutes on the guards, then we'll get to the
Sell
last
it.
thing. That I really want
It's a
to
good win, though. Nice win over the
Yeah,
Yankees.
but overall, Jose with the great defensive play in
Yeah.
the game. Ortiz was awesome. Shutting out the Yanks in Yankee Stadium is no easy feat. And I thought Angel Martinez getting the guys on the board early was bigger than Manzardo closing the deal. So thoughts on the game real quick.
Why
before we move
does he get to say Angel Martinez?
Yeah, it's Angel.
on? Angel, excuse me.
Well, he said Tyler, you couldn't
Shuck.
say Shuck for 3 months.
It's true. He struggles.
Pronunciation, not necessarily my
Martinez.
strength.
Yeah, it was a great win. It was a nice bounce
Kind
back.
of a big
after
deal
the loss
in
the night
TV.
Before.
To do it,
Good win.
to shut them out in the Bronx.
Yeah.
That's
And I mean, and
that's impressive. Because it's been so many times that we've gone there and people kind of crumble because y'all always said like people go there and you see the pinstripes, you see the stadium, and it'd be overwhelming for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah,
so it was nice to see them. Like obviously they've been playing the Yankees for years, but it was nice to see them shut them out.
And Bybee was terrific the night before. I don't know if you guys talked about it yesterday. I love the fact they sent him back out there. Yeah, he gave up the home runs.
I know,
but like
I wanted to see them stick with Ortiz to try to get through the inning. I know he. Who do you give up a hit to? Judge, and then they took him out for to bring in the lefty against Bellinger, if I remember.
Probably because of what happened the night before.
Yeah,
but I love leaving back. Like if Bybee's going to be your horse and that's who you're counting on, send him back out. He was at like 96 pitches, 92.
Isn't
96.
Bieber making a second start today, or is it tomorrow?
I don't know.
When is he starting, Mike?
Who?
Bieber in Double-A.
Bieber.
I think it's either today or tomorrow.
That'll be his second rehab start.
Yeah.
Friday.
He could be back before the end of June. It's possible.
Yeah. Oh, he will be.
Yeah.
Because
the rehab assignment, 30 days.
30 days. Yeah, I think he right around the end. And that's, I mean, I thought August. I said that before.
Yeah.
A lot of these April guys have been trending more toward late July and early August.
Yeah.
So if they can get him back by early July,
if you end up getting him for half a season.
And speaking of pitching, tonight's the rubber match between the Guards and the Yanks. And talk about a pitching matchup. Saucony's been good, but obviously.
I mean, how good has he been?
Earlier.
He's got a 5.20 ERA.
He had 5 shutout innings in his first outing, then had the bad one inning. And then Max for the Yankees is
If
big.
you're going to say he's good, he's got to have something better than the 5.20 ERA, though. I like the 17 strikeouts in 15 innings. That's promising.
Freed's been awesome for the Yankees.
Freed's been great. He's had one bad start. I think it was his last start. He got smoked, and besides that, he's been absolutely lights out.
Big test for the Guardians lineup tonight.
It is. Freed's a lefty, and he's fantastic.
I think I'm taking the Yankees. I ain't gonna lie to you.
You got to lean towards the Yankees, but it's baseball. You never know. The Rockies have won 3 in a row.
Yeah, all I had to do is play the Marlins.
Bull's second favorite team.
Yeah. Well, now the Athletics have lost like 19 of 20 or 20 of 21.
I was
like
really
that.
enjoying
19
watching
of
them.
23.
But
Yeah, now
they're pitching. It's not the lineup.
fell
They're
off
the exact opposite of the Guardians. If you take Oakland's lineup, if you take West Sacramento's lineup and put it with Cleveland's pitching,
you have a
it's the
good
best
team
team in the American League.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it is. They're pitching. Cleveland's pitching staff with Oakland's lineup.
All right, this happened on Monday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We did a topic, and Jason, you were here, so you will have heard this. You're in this clip we're about to show.
I don't remember.
About the PFF ranking of rosters. They had the Browns with the 32nd ranked roster.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of crazy.
During that conversation, Jay Crawford said something that sparked a topic idea. So I wanted to play this clip. You'll hear us all going back and forth, and then I'm very curious to see what Bull and Tyvis think, because Jason and I are already thinking along the same lines with this. But this was from Monday's Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
At the time, why did I hate it? You can't go a 4-year stretch. There's 3 years in the draft where you're not bringing a number 1 talent onto your team.
You can if you get the quarterback right, but they didn't get it right.
But Jay, I would tell you that even if you get the quarterback right, you're missing key parts to your team. Our last first-round draft pick until this draft was 4 years ago.
If the Browns drugged the Bills, held them at gunpoint, and traded Deshaun Watson for Josh Allen straight up, how would you feel about this team right now?
We'd win 7-8 games.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
You'd
we
win
would.
more than that.
No.
You'd win more than that.
Josh Allen's
We're number 32. We're number 32.
Because of the quarterback. If you put Josh Allen on this
it has
team,
a lot to do with the quarterback. But like I mentioned, who's our best wide receiver? Who's our best running back?
Josh Allen's going to make them all look really good.
He is. He's going to cover. He's going to hide a lot of warts, and he's going to double our win total. That's a big ask.
It's a minimum 10-11 win team with Josh Allen at quarterback.
So you think we're a lot closer than we really are?
No, I think the quarterback solves a lot of
He's like,
issues.
no, there's 75%.
It does, but like even when Jaden Daniels came into Washington, they upgraded everywhere. They had a great offseason.
Well, do you remember
A great
Bills?
offseason.
Last year, the Bills were supposed to be a rebuilding year, right? They traded Stephon Diggs. They didn't bring.
Oh no, I don't think anybody in Buffalo was saying that's a rebuilding year.
They got rid of Gabe Davis.
They were tinkering with the
back up, and they still ended up making the AFC Championship game. Josh Allen won.
No, that's a gas. Saying that Buffalo was in a rebuilding year last year.
It was a retool year, not rebuild. It was a retool year.
No, you said rebuilding year. A rebuilding year is what we're doing.
A retool year.
The Buffalo Bills had AFC Championship game aspirations from week 1. I can't say that's a rebuilding year. Did they make moves to become better? Of course they did.
Why were they AFC Championship expectations in week 1? Why?
Because that's who they are. That's what
Josh,
they're.
because the quarterback.
Because of
Of
Josh
course,
Allen.
because the quarterback. But so what you're saying is,
Who's better?
You can take Josh Allen on the Browns, and they're an AFC contender, AFC Championship contender.
Yes.
They're not. No,
Yeah.
they're not, guys.
Yes.
They
I
are.
don't know what the
Yes,
hell
they
you're
are.
watching.
Yeah,
Does
they
he play
are.
defense?
Browns defense.
Does he play
He
defense?
can outscore the defense.
Well, that's what he would have
Josh
to do.
Allen-
and that the
Josh-
league isn't built that way anymore.
Is you put a top 3 quarterback on this
Wow,
team?
Josh
on any
Allen
team,
with the Browns
on
right now
any
is a
team.
championship caliber team.
Yes.
PFF says we're number 32 in roster. And by the way, I agree with them. They're not wrong.
Take Josh Allen off the Bills, and how far do
Who's
they
going to
fall?
block for Josh Allen?
Oh, the line will be all right.
Our lines, most of them have walkers.
They'll get rid of the
No.
ball, and he'll probably rush for 500 yards.
I'm telling you, I feel so much better about this line after seeing DeJuan Jones last week. Seriously.
That was fascinating because you know what was interesting about that clip? Jay, I just got a call from the Guinness Book of World Records. Jay set the record for most bad takes in a 2-minute segment. One terrible take after the other. Jay, I love you, but you couldn't be more lost in the soup. Jay's like, so if you put Josh Allen on the Bills, they're a Super Bowl contender? And we're all sitting here like, yes, of course they are. What? First of all, you guys didn't. There's a couple of things you guys could have called them on. Who were all these great pickups on offense that Washington had last year?
Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz.
They did have a good.
Austin Eckler and Zach Ertz. Austin Eckler is shot. Zach Ertz, well, he had such a big year. What did Zach Ertz do for Washington last year, Mike?
Stand by.
Zach Ertz.
What? He was
Guy's like 50.
He had
was a big
66
point.
catches for 650 yards.
Oh,
and 7
what?
touchdowns.
I want massive impact, 600 yards.
I don't have the
Wait,
whole
wait,
list, but
hold on.
they had a good offseason. They
They did, but they didn't make. He made it seem like they made massive upgrades elsewhere besides quarterback. There was one reason why Washington was crappy the year before and good the next year.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Tyvis, guess what it is.
I'm gonna throw a dart here and say
All those great offseason
Jaden Daniels.
pickups would have meant exactly zero
To say
had
that.
they not gotten Jay. I'm not saying they didn't make some nice moves. They did, but they wouldn't have if they had Sam Howell again. I think wasn't Sam Howell their quarterback the year before?
Yes.
If Sam Howell had been their quarterback
They win
again last
7
year,
games, 7 to 9
if they're
games.
lucky, 7 games. And nobody's talking about this great offseason they had.
Well,
Nobody.
So let me ask Tyvis. Let me ask you this, because now I know how Bo feels. If you
knew before that how Bull.
Yeah,
if
that's
you
true.
put an elite quarterback on this Browns roster, we'll use Josh Allen for the sake of this because that's what we talked about on Monday. What's the Browns' ceiling with an elite quarterback like Josh Allen? This current roster with Josh Allen.
They definitely be a playoff team for sure. If the defense gets back to what they once were, they definitely could get to the AFC Championship. As crazy as that sounds, because you got the one receiver in Jerry Jeudy. Cedric Tillman just needs somebody to put the ball in the area. Jameis showed you that much. Quinshawn, I'm pretty sure Quinshawn's going to be pretty good in the NFL as a tough bell cow back. You got the tight end, which Josh Allen loves to throw the tight ends, and you got 2 of them now. That's gonna be, I think.
And by the way,
and he runs. So I think
first of all, Jay, again, he couldn't be more lost.
First of all, Jay is a flip flopper because PFF's supposed to be dead.
Exactly. He's been
But
saying
here
for
you
a year,
are.
PFF is dead. Now it's the Bible. And listen, the Browns don't have a great roster, but they're not 32nd. That's stupid. They're probably like 22nd or 24th, whatever. They don't have a great roster, but it's good enough. The Bengals had the worst defense ever last year, and if they had made the playoffs, would you have thought they could go to the Super Bowl?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Why? Because of the quarterback. Yes, they have great wide receivers too, but mostly because of the quarterback. And by the way, it's also disingenuous to talk about the Browns receivers because if by some chance you had Josh Allen, you'd probably, be working on an upgrade on that second wide receiver. But even if you didn't, who the hell did Josh Allen have last year?
That was
Amari
not part of
Cooper?
the clip. But I mentioned Jerry Jeudy's better than Khalil Shakir, who was
Yes.
the number 1 receiver. The Browns traded Amari Cooper to Buffalo.
Yes.
Midseason, Amari Cooper got worse in Buffalo than he was in
Yes.
Cleveland.
And
Dalton Knox and Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. David Njoku, it's the equivalent.
It's equal. I don't know how good the Bills' offensive line is, to be honest. I'm not sure.
It was pretty good last year.
The Browns' offensive line wasn't great last year. It's not a bad offense. Like, Jay made it seem like it's the worst offensive line.
No.
Come on. Their offensive line is at least adequate. And if you had a good Josh Allen makes up for all these other problems. It's crazy that you would think with Josh Allen, the Browns wouldn't be a Super Bowl contender. They'd be
They would not be the favorite.
No, they wouldn't be the favorite. You're right. I was going to say for a second they'd be the favorite in the division, but they'd probably be like right there with Baltimore and Cincinnati. All three would be right there, neck and neck.
Yes.
I think the Browns would actually be probably second behind Baltimore and Cincinnati, third because the Bengals would have the worst defense of the three. But you're right. I think you said the Browns would win at least 10 or 11 games. 100% right.
When Baker was the quarterback here, did they play the Bills? Can you even think of
they
that?
probably did.
No, I don't think.
No?
I don't remember. I don't think they did. I don't know. I definitely didn't make any trips to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo. I don't remember.
And
all the home
again,
games.
Jason is
Buffalo
100% right when Jay's still talking about the trade. Obviously, the trade flopped, but it's silly revisionist history now. At the time, we all thought that Deshaun Watson was still a great quarterback. He was great in Houston. If he had been great here, I don't care how many first-round picks he gave up. I would trade the Browns' next 10 first-round picks for Josh Allen. 10. I'd trade 10. And you know what would happen if the Browns called the Bills right now and said, we'll give you 10 first-round picks?
Buffalo would say,
they'd hang up the phone for 10 first-round picks. Especially if you're the Browns, because the one thing our buffoon owner does is he's willing to spend money. So you could make up for it if you had Josh Allen. You spend money to fill the holes.
Now for your next trick, play the clip of Jay talking about Baker and how the Browns already had their franchise guy, and watch Bull's head leave his body.
I do not have that one preloaded in. I
Enough
apologize.
with Baker. He's done. I mean, I can't. We know he's done well in Tampa.
Yes.
He's a different player now. I'll admit he's better. He's played better than I ever thought he would.
Agree.
I still don't think you're ever winning a Super Bowl.
That's what I said on Monday.
And again, this is with all due respect to Baker. I think he's way better than I thought he would be now. That's the worst division in football by a lot.
I don't think he ever wins you more than one playoff game.
No. You're not winning.
He can win you one playoff game.
Come
now,
on
if you have
now.
a monster roster around it, but now he's making the type of money that you're not going to be able to build a monster
Yes,
roster
that's right.
around it.
If you could, listen, with Josh Allen,
You think he can take a team to the Super Bowl?
Sure.
Come on. There's a lot of conviction behind that. That's like, hey, honey, do you want tacos tonight? Yeah, sure.
If Baker made it to the Super Bowl, it wouldn't shock me. Let's just say that.
it would shock me, but we'll see.
It would shock me.
It wouldn't shock me.
Although it's
Because
easier in the NFC.
he is
than the
he
AFC.
one of those guys that can catch lightning in the bottle. And if he catch it in the playoffs,
You know why?
he
It shocked
can
me?
do
Because he's always going to throw a pick in a big spot. That's his career.
That's possible.
That's career. That's his career, and
I feel like he started to shake that a little bit.
well,
last
he's
year.
gotten. I mean, overall, he's throwing less picks. He's turning the ball over less, but he's still in some big key spots in games. Will make that mistake trying to be overly aggressive.
You gonna take him in fantasy this year?
No.
Before we bring in
Yeah.
Daniel Oyefusi, we put in the chat or put a poll in the chat. Excuse me. If Josh Allen was on this current Browns roster, and literally just put him in there, everyone else was the same.
Yeah.
Could the Browns make the AFC Championship game? And 78% believe that yes, the Browns.
The
can make the AFC
22% who
Championship game.
said no, the answer is would they? Okay, maybe I can understand saying no.
Could they?
If the question is could they, anybody saying no is an absolute moron. I'm sorry. Josh Allen is arguably the best quarterback in football. At absolute worst, he's the fourth best quarterback in football. The Browns are 100% contenders. Even last year when the Browns sucked, their defense wasn't that bad.
Right.
What you have, our fans just don't get it because they're so used to.
I mean, 78% of them get it.
Okay, 78% of them get
That's
it.
quite
But here's the thing: we're used to good. For Browns fans, good quarterback play is what Baker did in 2020.
Yeah.
Good quarterback play is the 1 year from Derek Anderson, 10 minutes from Joe
I remember
Flacco.
there was a game, I think it was Jacksonville
Yeah.
last year. Deshaun threw for like 187 yards.
Yeah,
And people rejoiced.
I know.
That it was
It's crazy.
phenomenal.
Josh Allen is a freak. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame if he stays healthy. And yeah, listen, he hasn't gotten to a Super Bowl.
He just got married.
That's mostly on Buffalo and not him. He got married to what's her name? Haley Steinfeld.
Yep.
He has good taste in women too. She's gorgeous and a great actress.
You know what that means? He's got confidence. Remember that Moneyball line?
That's right.
You can't have an ugly girlfriend. You got no confidence.
You cannot have an ugly girlfriend. When you see a player with an ugly girlfriend, it's a big problem.
No confidence.
When I was doing my, I got to wrap up because we want to bring Daniel in. But when I was doing minor league baseball, play-by-play in 1999, bunch of A-ball schlubs. Only 6 of them in 3 years of 100 guys I covered. Only 6 made it to the majors. But even these guys in A-ball who were never going past Double-A most likely, every one of them except for 3 or 4 had hot girlfriends.
What's wrong
you think
with
those girls were with them because they were smart? They were a bunch of idiots.
What was wrong with those 3 or 4? No confidence?
They went nowhere. They got cut. By the way, I missed Ricky Williams by 1 year. He played for the Batavia Muck Dogs in 1998. I started there in 1999. Oh, that would have been the best ever to cover him.
I blame you for that. Bull, tell us about Menu RX, and we'll bring Daniel Oyefusi.
All right. Menu RX, folks, is the best if you're looking for some weight loss tips, if you're looking to have more energy, if you're looking to just be in better shape or just have a better sense of what foods make better fuel for your body, you got to go with Menu RX. Dr. Jake May and the team down at the clinic in Louisiana, they are scientists, doctors. They're not some idiot on the internet. Wow, I just saw a video from some guy said I got to eat 14 tacos a day and I'm going to lose weight. These people are steering you wrong. They're not basing anything on science. Menu RX is all about science, all about the data. It's the analytics, if you will. Don't get scared by it in this case because this is for your body. They'll give you a metabolic test. They'll figure out what foods work best for you. So sign up today. And if you do, you get a 1-year membership for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show absolutely free. That's menu-rx.com. It's a $60 value free. Menu-rx.com. All right, let's bring Daniel. How you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing great.
You walked into a buzzsaw here.
Yeah,
I know, right?
We're going a little nuts right now, especially Tyvis. He's just wild at the moment.
Your thoughts on players with ugly girlfriends?
His thoughts on what?
What you think
Players
about
with ugly girlfriends.
What do you think about players with ugly
I
girlfriends?
was wondering. I was like, did you just get out of bed?
No, see what happened
Yeah.
was, let me show you.
He had
what
surgery there.
happened was I got a hair transplant.
Okay.
So like they redid my hairline.
Did you go to Turkey?
And I went to Columbus.
Okay.
Got sponsored, so
That's
Yeah.
what's up.
$3.99. So
Okay.
yeah,
Free hair.
I didn't want it to be a distraction to the show. So
I respect it.
So put it back on.
So you look like you got hit with a shovel.
So put this on so people
how long
can
you got to
focus.
wear that thing?
This bonnet?
Yeah.
I don't. I just wear it for the show.
I mean, how long are you going to be wrapped in gauze and looking
the wrap
like a
comes off
Frankenstein?
tonight. The wrap comes off
All
tonight.
right.
We have a guest and we're talking about Tyvis.
Yeah, right.
Daniel, how did the quarterbacks look yesterday at OTA?
He's not a guest.
Daniel's
Daniel's family. He's been here enough. He knows how ridiculous we are.
Daniel, what'd you think of the quarterbacks yesterday? In all seriousness.
I really thought it was a really strong day for Shadur. I know, like, nobody wants to. Like, I even said it last week. I was like, I'm not trying to feed the beast, but like,
Yeah.
he looked good. So,
Yeah.
and again, I don't want to make too much of like one day of practice that we're watching a week and whatnot.
Yeah.
And Stefanski's out there saying like, don't worry about the reps and first team. But like, it was notable to me that we watched practice for an hour, whatever it was yesterday. He was the only guy that didn't get first team reps.
Yeah.
So we've seen 2 OTA practices. We've got this trend that we're seeing now. Like, all right, they have other practices that we don't see. But when we're there, this is what we see. When it's time for walkthroughs, it's Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco,
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel, then Shadur. When they do indies, it's Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, or sometimes they might flip-flop the veterans, but it's usually Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, then Shadur. And then when we start doing like 11 on 11s or any type of work like that, usually it's Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco, and then Dylan Gabriel goes in with the backups.
Yeah.
And then like the first OTA practice last week, we didn't see Shadur in there.
Yeah.
What stood out to me yesterday was that Dylan Gabriel got some reps with the first team. He got a good amount of first team reps.
Right.
Reps with the first team offense. There was actually a point where we were on one field watching Dylan Gabriel go with the first team offensive line, throwing to the first team pass catchers and everything, and he's backed by the vets, and on the far field is Shadur in the JV team. So I'm like, this is interesting, and it's not interesting maybe because it's interesting because partly because it's Shadur. It's more interesting because they said every quarterback in here is going to get an opportunity
Right.
to compete. And I know that they say don't worry about the first team reps or anything, but like we know how this goes.
Yeah.
If you're in contention to be a starter, at some point I would expect to see you get some reps with the starters. So I don't know if that's going to change in mandatory minicamp. I don't know if it's going to change in camp. At some point, if Shadur has if we're made to believe that he has a legitimate shot to be the starter, at some point I would expect to see him running with the ones, even if it's like one little section with the 7-on-7s or the 11-on-11s. So that was the biggest takeaway for me. Shadur looked really good yesterday, albeit with the second and third stringers, but he was the only quarterback that wasn't getting an opportunity with the starters.
Yeah, it's weird. I think it's weird. I know they're going to.
I don't know. No, it's not weird. It's not weird. It makes perfect sense.
He's the fourth quarterback.
He is the fourth quarterback on the depth chart.
Very clearly fourth on the
Well,
depth
why
chart.
wouldn't you give all four the opportunity?
Well, this is why.
Yeah.
This is why.
Yeah.
Because you have two vets who, despite whatever you want to say about Joe
Yeah.
Flacco and Kenny Pickett, they have a little bit of equity in the league. Like Flacco is a proven player.
Yeah.
I mean, he has that trust with
Right.
Stefanski and the coaching staff. You got Kenny Pickett, a former first-round pick,
Yeah.
who, what they're saying, I mean, this is what Andrew Berea said on record, is that they sought him out as a trade target.
Right.
Like, this was a guy who, entering free agency, they said, we want to trade for this guy. And then you got, again, whatever you want to say about Dillon Gabriel, Shadur Sanders, the team took Dillon Gabriel, and they took Dillon Gabriel 2 rounds before Shadur Sanders.
Right.
So that obviously showed you that they valued him more.
Right.
They thought he was a better fit.
But I still don't understand why they couldn't do one more set of those drills.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But all I know is what I see.
Yeah.
And I see the vets are getting their chances with the first.
Yeah.
Dillon Gabriel yesterday got his chance with the first. And Shadur, I'm not saying it's not fair. I expected this, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, why would
Right.
Shadur get more reps and more opportunities than Dillon Gabriel? He was the second option. So it's going to be interesting when we get into training camp, because I don't know how they're going to operate, but they got 2 set of joint practices with the Carolina Panthers and then the Eagles ahead of their first and second preseason games. I would think that by like the second set of joint practices, like you're starting to kind of narrow down who you want to be the starter, and then you're really working that guy to get the bulk of the first team reps. So to me, I'm like, well, if Shadur isn't getting like any looks with the first team by like the second week of camp, when you're starting to transition into that prep for that first set of joint practices in the first preseason game, I don't really see how he has a legitimate chance to be the starter. I don't expect him to be. I never expected him to be the starter week 1, but it's been interesting to see it kind of develop over the first couple of weeks of OTAs.
If they don't give him a legitimate chance, I don't care if he's a 5th-round pick for me. It's not like Dillon Gabriel was a 1st-round pick and he was a 5th-round pick. You're right. Obviously, they value Dillon Gabriel more. They drafted him higher. But why wouldn't you want to give a young guy an opportunity to compete? What is the downside of giving him that opportunity?
I mean, we always say like football is the closest thing to a meritocracy. Well, it's not 100% meritocracy. And again, this as an organization, they saw Dillon Gabriel as being a better fit.
If the Browns took Kyle McCord in the 5th round, would you be as adamant that he should be getting snaps?
Probably not.
Probably
there
not.
you go.
Yeah.
The Shadur hype does kind of play into all that.
Yeah.
But when you have a team that doesn't have a clear, defined starter, it is kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting to me. But I never expected him to be the starter.
I do think he is going to get opportunities. I mean, and I said the exact same thing you're saying. I said at 11:05, almost verbatim. And I think we've seen 3 hours now over 2 OTAs, and we're trying to draw these huge, broad conclusions.
Which we can't. Which is why I'm saying,
Yeah.
I don't know what happens the days we're not there. Yeah. And even Stefanski said it's an all-encompassing evaluation. So I don't know what we're seeing.
Sure.
Tyvis, you've been in that spot as being low on the depth chart, trying to work your way up. What can you do to earn reps in the film room? You know what I mean? Like, how in the film room can you earn reps? Or what does he have to show on the practice field to earn those.
The only way you can move up on the depth chart is make plays.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the only way. Like, you can sit there when the coach in the meeting rooms, coach is gonna ask you questions. You better be able to spit it right back and tell them exactly what it is. All right, then the coach will say, you know what? All right, you know what you're doing. All right, boom. You get out there, you get your, if it's ones versus twos or whatever that may be, you get to go up against the ones. You get your hand on the ball or something like that. You make a pick. Oh, all right. You know what? You earned it. Go ahead and get you a rep with the ones. Or what really happened is, you can't do this at quarterback, but with the DBs, you'll have a dude like Earl, like, hey, go get them reps for me. Go in. You've been balling today. Go in there and take them one reps at the end.
Step in for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you go in there and that's your opportunity.
Yeah.
If you blow it,
right,
get out. You ain't coming back. Get out.
There's it's hard though. I mean, this time of year at the other, I was gonna ask you, like, who else has looked good, but like at the other position, like a running back. What's a running back doing now? Like, how can a running back look good? How can a defensive lineman look good right now?
I mean, you see little clips of the running backs, like their vision and whatnot, but it's like you never know for real. And so, like, especially in the trenches too, like you don't know for sure. Like Mason Graham made a play last week; he got his hands on the ball and stuff like that. But you just never sure. I mean, this is really where like the skill position guys should really be standing out.
Yeah. Let me ask you. So everybody talks about Shadur and how good he's doing. But let me ask you about Dillon Gabriel. Like, what is it about Shadur that makes him look that much better than Dillon? Like, what are you seeing from Shadur that you're not seeing from Dillon that you're like, Shadur looks better than Dillon?
Well, like, again, like, we're in OTAs. So, like, it's really tough to judge how they're, like, adjusting to the rush and everything like that. Like, they try to do these modified 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s where they're working kind of against what kind of looks like a pass rush and whatnot. But, like, it's not. We're not going to know until it's really live.
Right.
But I would say Shadur looks more polished. Like, again, so yesterday Dillon went he was running with the ones, and he's running against the first-team defense. So, like, Denzel Ward's out there, Martin Emerson, Jordan Hicks, like all those, Grant Delbert, for the most part, those guys are out there. And I mean, they always say like this time of year, like when you're doing like these 7-on-7, like the ball shouldn't be touching it. It was touching the ground a lot.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying, I would say one thing. Like one thing I look for around this time is like, are you making like bad decisions with? I don't know. I'm not gonna say Dillon was making bad decisions with the ball, but I think it was maybe more so like the speed of it all. Like when you're going against the first team defense, it's a little quicker than when you're going against the second and the third stringers. And then like again, I was actually watching Dillon most of the time because he was on the side of the field that I was on, and it was funny because I'm standing next to somebody, another reporter, and we look and like the ball like touches the ground again for like maybe like the second time in 3 plays, and then I just kind of like glance over, it's kind of like, all right, like what's Shadur doing over there, and he like lofts a pass over at a guy. We're like. We're not trying to make too much of it, but I'm like, every time I look up, I'm like,
touchdown.
He's making plays.
There's a lot of pressure on you guys who are covering this team, every day. Not that you have that much access right now, because the fans have picked their camps.
Yeah.
And they want every last bit of information, and we could downplay some of the stuff as much as we want. Fans are not doing that.
I mean, that's understandable. I mean, this is the first 4-way quarterback competition that I've ever covered.
I'd be the first one that anybody's ever covered.
Yeah, I asked Tommy Reese, and he was just like, I think I had one back in like college, but it was like 3.5 because I didn't really consider myself a viable candidate. But yeah, so shows his humility. But yeah, it's understandable. And again, like I know like we're having fun with like the QB tracker and everything, but it's like and I love the people over at ESPN Cleveland, but it's like it doesn't provide all the context. So it's if there's like a 5-yard check down and then nobody's going to take the receiver's head off because we're not doing that, and then he kind of like just kind of skips into the end zone. Like, are we counting that as a touchdown?
Exactly.
And Shador's taking reps in 7-on-7, and they're counting reps
versus 11-on-11
live starters, and the 7-on-7s, the defensive backs aren't even jumping or trying to contest passes. It's why
the stats are silly. They're just I've talked about this.
I just kind of go by the eye test. Like if I see a guy standing out, I'm gonna just say it. Like I'm gonna provide the context. Like, hey, like he had a couple drops. Like, cause I didn't even see the one. Like apparently Shadur had a interception, and I didn't see that because it was on the far side of the field. Right. And then I saw the video of it, and I was like, oh well, like the receiver got his hands on the ball, and the defensive back made a good play, and it got deflected. But if like I had never seen any of the reports or any video or anything, and I just saw, Shadur's the only guy that threw an interception. But it's just like we lack the context. So it's tough. It's tough because it's just like you can't live stream the practice.
Sure.
We're trying to shoot video as much as we can, but it's just like it's hard to put a complete complete picture
That's
to
fair.
it. And we try to do our job as best as we can, but we got some limitations. But you try to add context where it's necessary.
So outside of the quarterback position, when you look at the young guys, is there anybody that's been kind of making noise that you're kind of excited that you've seen this OTA?
I think Fannin and Schlesinger. Schlesinger had a really nice pick in rookie minicamp that was kind of like the epitome of like what they liked about him, like the fact that he is like a they say like a 4-down player, like he can play the run, play the pass, go sideline to sideline. He's great in coverage and whatnot. Fannin, obviously like Njoku's not here right now. They really don't have a lot of depth at tight end, so he's getting a lot of targets. So those are two guys that have kind of stood out to me a little bit. And I think that they're gonna. Schlesinger's a little more. I mean, I think he has more of like a group to kind of come out of. Like, there's more veterans in his position room. But like Fannin, like I don't see any reason why like he doesn't start the year as like tight end 2. And with the way the wide receiver room is looking, I mean, he might be pass catcher number 3.
Yeah,
behind,
4 at the worst.
Yeah, behind Judy and Njoku, and you will see what happens with Tillman.
Yeah. What's going on with Deontay Johnson? Do we have any idea why he's not here? Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird.
Tell me somebody's sick in his family or he's got a baby.
I don't know. So I mean, I think I seen like something like on Twitter, and he was working out. Like, he's from Florida. He was working out. I don't know if that was like recent or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think so. And I'm gonna preface my comments by saying, like, I've always said, like, I really don't care too much about attendance at voluntary, because everybody's making a big deal about Myles, and I'm like, I don't care that Myles isn't here, to be honest, because I know he's
we were accused of making a big deal about it. We did not make a big deal about it, but but anyway,
somebody was lying on y'all.
For Myles Garrett, what was that?
Somebody was lying on y'all. Somebody said you made a big deal about it.
Yeah, no, it's old news. But but for Deontay Johnson's not Myles Garrett.
You would think. You would think. The rules kind of are different for different players. You would think that he would be there. He signed like a 1-year minimum unguaranteed contract.
Right.
You would think. And it's
playing for his career right now.
And the funny thing about it is that, so obviously, like, I was kind of monitoring everything that was going on with him last year when he was with Carolina. Then he got traded to Baltimore. And
then Houston.
He was having issues. So he was having issues with Baltimore with his lack of targets.
Yeah.
So they released, and he refused to go into the game. So they released him. He went to the Texans, and then he had issues with the lack of targets. So I was like, there is plenty of targets in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like, that should not be an issue. So to see him not here, I don't know why he's not here. So I don't want to accuse him of it, like, whatever. But it is kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting. So I mean, hopefully he's here for mandatory minicamp. And again, there's plenty of targets, so that should not be a problem. Like, if he comes in here, I think obviously, like I've said it, at his best, he's one of the better separators in the NFL. And the Browns love that. They love smooth route runners. So I think it's a perfect fit. So there should not be any problems with targets if he comes here and handles his business.
Well, let me ask you about the running back, because they're going back to Kevin Stefanski, and obviously the run game was pretty much non-existent last year. We know Quinshon Judkins is probably slotted to be the number 1 running back.
1A, 1B.
Something like that. But what about Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson? Who do you think is that next guy after Quinshon?
I think it's kind of a cop-out, but I think it kind of depends on I think it's situational. Like Jerome, Jerome has like stepped in the past 2 years when Nick has been out. And they've used him in a lot of different ways. Like, they've handed the ball off to him, they've thrown to him. He's been a pretty reliable pass catcher. He's a big play threat, so you can't count him out. Like, the deeper stats or like analytics are like, he's one of the better big play backs in the NFL. He might not be like as consistent on a down-to-down basis, but I think that there's a role for him. Obviously, like, he's factors into the return game too. But I would say, like, he definitely is more. I would say he's more Sampson than Judkins, where like Judkins was more like between the tackles, downhill, AFC North. Like, they were talking about Judkins is kind of similar to like Nick, where Sampson is like he's a little faster, more the big play threat. So I think he, again, like role-wise, he might be more Sampson than Judkins. Like, Judkins might be first, second down, and then depending on who they feel comfortable with as a pass catcher, as a pass protector, we'll see. But I don't think there's going to be like there's not going to be like a guy who, there's not going to be a bell cow in this offense, I don't think. I think it's going to be situational. That's my guess.
All right.
That's my guess. I think it's going to be situational from week to week, from game to game. And yeah, maybe Judkins is like the first, second down guy, but they've had Jerome in that role as well too.
How many games do you think, as of now, the Browns are going to win this year, if you had to predict?
I think when the schedule came out, I said, and like I don't know, I've been accused of being like a homer, and like I'm tend to be more like
Everybody's accused of being something around here. So
yeah, I tend to be more like optimistic than
okay.
like most people. I think like the being on the beat is kind of wearing on me. We joked about Zach kind of like he sits behind me, so we talked about him kind of like wearing on me. But I think when I saw the schedule at first, I said 6-11.
Okay, well, Tyvis went 8-9, so that's the
I mean, like, well, you must think Shadur is like starting in like week 3 or something like that.
No.
When you got Shadur taking over.
You got Joe having a big year, right?
I got Joe playing the first 6 games. He's gonna fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then somebody's gonna take over, and they're gonna pull some upsets.
If the Browns had Josh Allen and the exact same rest team, how many wins would you pick them for?
They probably win like 10 or 11 games.
That's what everybody else
like,
said.
Exactly no, because my thing is like also, I mean, like we already know who Josh Allen is, but I think this roster is a lot more talented than people give it credit for. It's not deep, but I think
You're
it's
the first person to say, because see, last year when we said that,
I said that last year. I probably said that last year too.
See, everybody said it last year, and it turned out to be the exact opposite.
I still thought the same thing. I just thought they had terrible quarterback play. And I don't think people realize
that
how
overwhelms everything else.
Not only do they have terrible quarterback play, they were trying to run a scheme that didn't fit the personnel. They had a play caller who didn't know how to call a run play. They had an offensive line coach that basically got fired after week 3.
Yeah.
And Mike Vrabel became the offensive line coach.
Still trips me out.
And they had no running backs last year when Nick got hurt.
There's 1,000 reasons why last
they're
year
still
went
pretty
off the
weak at the moment at wide receiver.
They're very weak at wide receiver.
But besides that, I don't think they're terribly, obviously quarterback. But besides quarterback and wide receiver, I think they're at least adequate.
I mean, I would say
who's the third wide receiver right now?
Who's the second wide receiver?
I'm saying when they
I
go
assume
out there,
Tillman, but yeah,
when the
can't say that
ones
for
go
sure.
out there, is it Tillman, Judy, and
It's been like, I'm not gonna lie. It was some guys running with the ones yesterday that I had to take the. I was like,
oh, there's somebody with the ones you didn't even know who the hell he was.
Oh, there was
Tillman's not practicing right now.
yeah, right.
yeah. Tillman, so yesterday
there's a lot of guys out there that
it's a lot of 30s. Running with the lineup of wide.
I bet you there's some guy.
30?
Like 31.
I've made the mistake both days of not taking a roster with me out on the field, and I have to. Well, who's that? Well, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there.
So yesterday,
we'll play some Flacco.
You gotta be
real
kidding
quick,
me.
Just for anyone.
Yeah.
Look at the numbers of the receivers.
Okay, numbers of the receivers.
You gotta
Some
be.
of these you'll see better than others.
You gotta
see
be
nothing
kidding
there.
me right now.
And that's why I'm saying we're trying to draw these massive conclusions on
Yeah.
these quarterbacks when they're throwing to dudes who are going to be in the CFL.
Okay, no, this the one right. This one right. So there was I told you 31. I told you. 31.
That guy looks
that was
like
a
a
good
fullback.
catch. That was a good catch though. Like shout out to him.
That guy looks like a fullback.
What is going
Zach
on?
Jackson named him his camper of the day.
What are we doing?
Who the hell is he?
Okay, I mean, that's the number.
Is he the random white dude that everybody's
No, that's the local guy. I think that's the local guy.
No, 37's the local guy.
Oh, my bad.
Oh yeah, what's his name again?
What are we doing?
I forget.
What's going on? We can't.
89, little white guy.
We can't get
That's Jones, whoever Jones.
The Browns gotta have like 16 wide receivers on his roster right now.
Yeah.
There's Kent.
He's 37.
That's
There we go.
That's
37.
Kent
I had to look at the roster.
Dude, that was 3 straight white guys that did not look like wide receivers.
But that's what we're
They looked
trying
like
to tell you guys.
2 fullbacks and a
Because
tight end.
yesterday they
So
didn't
how
have,
am I supposed to take any of this?
That's what we're
saying. What is going on?
That's what we've been saying.
And all of this is irrelevant then.
All right, Danny, let's get you out of here on this. If there was a battle royale amongst the Browns beat reporters, how would you fare?
like, do we have like any weapons or just like?
No, like let's say like WWE style.
Oh yeah.
Summer Royal Rumble. You got to toss him over the rope. How you winning that thing? I mean, Zach Jackson's a pretty big dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can hold my own for a little bit. Zach, he might have me. Scott probably gonna have me.
Scott's big, but
Scott's big.
Scott's big,
true.
man.
He's underrated.
Yeah, like I ain't gonna
Scott.
hold you. Like Scott might have me.
Who's going to throw Mary Kay out? I mean,
Yeah,
come on. How can you pick her up?
Mary Kay could be
What
the
are you
sneaky winner.
talking
'cause
about?
How could you pick up?
I watched Bubba Ray
And she
Dudley
weighs like 50
take
pounds.
suplex Mae Young off the top rope in the table. What are you talking about?
I ain't
Let me
doing
tell you
that to
something.
Mary Kay.
Boo! And
Mary
then do the
Kay's
stare
sneaky.
to the camera.
Mary Kay's taking off one of those high heels and she's smacking somebody in the head. I'm telling you. And Darryl Ryder's first one out. Darryl's getting, my guy Darryl, poor Darryl, he's getting out. Everybody's got to team up on Grossi, toss him out of there.
Do I get to participate in this? I'm not a beat writer.
No.
I can't get in?
No,
I can make
you'd
some
have a good
noise.
chance.
I'd have a
You
really
think you make it?
Hell yeah, I can make it. I'm scrappy.
What about
What you small?
Oh, Nate, what's his name? Nate. He doesn't do. He's not a beat reporter anymore, right?
No,
Nate,
Nate's not a beat reporter.
I forgot his last name.
Ulrich.
You know who I forgot about? I'll tell you who could be a sleeper here. Jeff Shadell. Jeff Shadell.
Jeff Beaton.
Jeff's got a lot of anger in him. I remember when I was at Browns camp with, when we were doing the radio station, he'd always be on the phone yelling at his wife or something. I don't know what the hell was going on. Jeff was always angry about something.
Before you get Daniel in trouble, that is Daniel Oyefusi of ESPN.
What about Ashley? Ashley. She'd be pretty tough.
You're the best. We appreciate the insight.
College basketball player.
That's what I'm saying.
You got whatever you want.
on
And
the phone,
don't get Daniel in trouble, man. Don't get him in trouble.
How did I get Daniel in trouble? I'm the one saying all this crazy stuff. Not
You know
him.
how the
Comment.
internet
I'll
works.
plead the
Daniel,
fifth.
thank you very much. I appreciate you coming in.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
Before we get to Super Chats, a quick reminder that Friday's Guardians-Astros game is on WKYC. First pitch at 7:10. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. All your Guardians-Astros pregame coverage. You won't find it any better than on WKYC. Make sure you tune in at 7 p.m. for their pregame show. Then watch the game as the Guardians look to continue their winning baseball ways against the Houston Astros on Friday night.
Tom Withers might have a little say here.
Tom retired.
That's right. Tom retired, but he's still in everything. How did he retire?
He can't stay away, man.
He retired from AP. He's
Yeah.
not. He's
now
now
he's
like,
an independent.
Yeah, he's like part-time.
It's like Steve. He's like Steve now.
He is like Steve.
Yeah.
Nobody want to be like Steve.
Damn, Tyvis. That's mean.
That was mean. All right, we
Cam
got some Super Chats
Justice.
to wrap
What
up
it
today's
is.
show. We got a couple new members. Shout out to Daniel Applegate, to Mississippi Dark Knight, and Corey Reister for becoming
Hello,
Coaches
guys.
Tier members. Chef Brian K says, 6 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Those are Myles' stats in 3 playoff games.
Well, that could be better.
Yeah, that's not good.
Bose Crow says, Jay is the Hall of Famer of bad takes. How about when he said, send Clase to the honors?
That was
He did
terrible.
say
take.
that. Yeah, he did say that.
I did not agree with that.
Yeah.
Sonny says 10 of the 11 most viewed videos on this page, as well as the most viewed live video, are all Shadur related. The Shadur Sanders effect is real.
Yeah.
That is an understatement of the century.
Oh, my
The
God.
Shadur Sanders effect is the single greatest thing that has ever happened to not just UCSS, but content creators in all of Cleveland, anyone who covers the NFL. And I bet you it's similar to what Tim Tebow. Tebow Mania
it's crazy.
and Linsanity, I think, are the only 2 things that would be able to equal the Shadur Sanders impact on clicks right now.
Linsanity. That's nothing like Tebow or this. That lasted for a month. 2 months.
At the peak, that thing was everywhere.
What year
Linsanity
was that?
huge.
It was also a whole
like
country.
12 or 13.
I was covering the Cavs. That's when the Cavs were really bad. Yeah, it was like 12 or 13.
It was 12 or 13. I think it was 12.
So basically any year that LeBron wasn't on the team.
No, that 4-year
Till now.
stretch.
All right.
So, yes,
Yeah.
we are very well aware of the Shadur Sanders
Yeah,
effect.
no kidding.
It is very, very
We've had a lot of good things like that since we've been on the air.
We've been very lucky.
Obviously, Deshaun Watson was a magnet for attention, too.
Linsanity was 2012, by the way, February of 2012. Brian Gibson says, Bull,
Yes.
the best pizza in all of Northeast Ohio is Samoski's Homestyle Pizzeria in Valley City.
All right,
Trust
so-
me, ...
See,
I'm
here's
not
the
skinny.
problem. And I feel bad about
What'd
this.
you say? Trust me, I'm not skinny?
That's what Brian Gibson said. He
All right, that's the problem.
Trust me,
Here's
I'm
the
not
thing, folks. I feel bad because every time I talk about pizza, people send me pictures from their pizzerias that they love, and most of them, no offense, look bad. Now, just because a pizza looks bad, it's not a guarantee that it is bad. But in 99 out of 100 cases, if the pizza looks bad to me, it's a crappy pizza, or at least I find it crappy.
Are you a well-done pizza guy?
Yes, absolutely. If it's mushy and soft,
Really?
crust should not be mushy and soft. But I have heard, like 2 people have told me, more than 2, have told me about this Samoski's, so maybe I got to check it out. But somebody went crazy about a place the other day, and then they sent the picture of the pizza, and it did not look good.
We have 2 more, Bull.
Although our guy, what the hell, Corey Crawford, Jay's son,
He did send us a very good
sent
looking
us a
pizza.
picture of a pizza from this place in Jersey that looked really good.
It looks very good.
Go ahead.
We have 2 more. Look up Samoski's while we are reading the last 2.
Samoski's.
Bose Crow says, why is the focus of every discussion the 5th-round quarterback? Manziel media circus all over again. As we just mentioned.
No, we can't just that's a ridiculous comparison.
Oh, by all means, go.
First of all, Johnny Manziel deserved the coverage because he was a first-round pick. Number two, Johnny was a complete clown and had no interest in trying to win. So neither of those things are similar to Shadur Sanders. Why would anybody be bothered if you don't like that we're talking? First of all, I think on this show, we've talked about plenty of other things besides Shadur Sanders. But if you don't like the conversation about Shadur Sanders, you could very easily put on something else. I don't know what to tell you. People want to hear about Shadur Sanders.
They could come back and
Fine, but I'm not going to listen to people whine about. If you think it's too much coverage, then listen to something else.
I would also say,
if you put on 92.3 The Fan, I'm sure they're talking about it for 5 straight hours.
I would also say,
I got Ken complaining about robot umps as if there's guys. The robot umps are going to be 2-3 calls a game. Ken, I love you. We need an automatic strike zone here. We can't have these egregiously bad calls.
I will say to the super chat from 2 earlier, Shadur Sanders is the most viewed, the most watched, has the most interest of any player on the Browns right now. So we talk about the stuff people want to hear about.
Yeah.
And our last super chat comes from R-Mac Dog, who says, in 99, the Browns took Tim Couch over Donovan McNabb. In 2018, they took Baker over Allen and Lamar. So it'll be another bad quarterback decision. If they don't trade Pickett, start Flacco, and at least play the 2 rookies.
What were the other examples he gave there?
Couch
over
McNabb.
and Baker over Allen and Jackson.
What that has
What
to
does
do
that
with
have to
the
do with this?
3rd and the 5th round pick?
He's saying that they don't do well with drafting quarterbacks. They always take the wrong guy.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you in overtime.
Yeah.
Tyvis is going to the bathroom. He's already taking his mic off.
This Samoski's fine.